Cisco, you know, I'm surprised sometimes how I surprise myself. Oh, Poncho. Oh, Cisco!
Hi, I'm AJ Kidd, and when I'm not out shopping in the store wearing my N95 mask, I'm watching the Poncho and Cisco show. Well, I think I am. Are you?
And welcome to the show. A reminder, there is no smoking, and anyone that has paraphernalia or is stoned or has a heart condition, we please ask you to leave the seating area immediately.
Hi. Oh boy, welcome to the Poncho and Cisco Live in the Afternoon show. I am Cisco. Poncho is well, we're a little bit behind today, so Poncho isn't in the stream yet because I just sent him over the thing. I had a new computer set up ready to go for today, and all of a sudden it decided it wanted to restart 4 minutes before the show and finish updates. So I had to go back to the old computer. So I had to plug everything from the new computer, including this fine webcam that I'm using today that I borrowed from my pal Steve Teolis at Shores Data, and bring the old computer back up. So we'll get it started with this, and then once this guy down here is done doing its stupid shit, I'll switch everything over during the news and hopefully be back and going. How's everybody doing today? It's Wacky Wednesday here on the Poncho and Cisco Live in the Afternoon show. On today's show, we have the one and only Brian Pastoria. Brian Pastoria, drummer from legendary Detroit bands Adrenalin and DC Drive. Going to join us on the program. Also, Revv, Rob Wourman. He's been putting up some funny quarantine videos, and so I asked him, I said, man, you got to come on the show. So we'll show some of that stuff for you today. I hope everybody's doing good. It's an absolutely gorgeous day outside. Gorgeous. I had the window cracked open. The wind was blowing in so bad it was blowing everything around and all kinds of shit, you know. So good to see everybody. I'm just trying to get everything kind of halfway straightened out here. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'll go over here, get you all up in the stream. Hope you had a good Tuesday while we were off on Tuesday. Of course, there was more traffic out today than anywhere than I've ever seen ever, I think. More traffic. It's like people just don't give a shit. They don't care anymore. They don't care anymore. So Dave DeRozan, Rick Malone, Sandra Romps, John Pastula. What's up, punk? Jerry Dobson says when he gets back to this century, he'll probably tune into the big show. Poncho says, waiting on Cisco. I'm here, man. I sent you the link. Did he get it? Oh, good. Check over here. It's kind of funny. Oh, I did. Oops. Yeah, maybe if you hit the send button. What a jackass. I've been running behind all day today. I had to stand in freaking line for stuff, and I was running around, and no excuses, though. Here we are. It's Wacky Wednesday. Poncho will be in here with us in just a moment. Sorry, Poncho. Who else we got in the big program? Dave Conti, how you doing? Mark Dushka, happy hump day, everyone. No, he's not pooping. It's my bad. Here he is now, bringing him in as the one and only. All day to stand in freaking line for stuff, running around, and no excuses. Here we are. It's Wacky Wednesday. Poncho will be in here with us. Why am I getting echo? Wait, sorry, if I mute you and it goes away, it's you. Oh, it is you. Dave Conti, how you doing? Mark Dushka. What device is on over there? There is no device. It's coming from another thing. Hold on.
It's my bad. There it is now. Bringing him in.
I got it.
Randy Manning, what's happening?
There you go. I fixed it.
Okay, thank God. Hi, Poncho.
Hi, Cisco. I was getting worried about you.
No, hold on. Let's just get to it right now.
All right.
Seriously, gotta have this. It's needed today. Today's been a rough go of it. So, cheers, everybody. I got this camera's right up. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, hold on. You get it. Mr. Positive, you standing by?
Yes, I am.
Do it.
Yes, I am.
Hit me.
Warriors, as I descend upon your soul with a spark of positivity, you must remember, take nothing for granted, for the power's with you. Believe in yourself, and others will too. Hit me.
Thank you, Mr. P.
I love that guy. I love that guy. So here's what happened, Poncho.
All right. Brian's patiently waiting for his link.
Okay. Well, we'll get it. We're gonna get it to him. Without a doubt, we're gonna get it to him. So I set up this new computer for today's show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had everything set up, was all tested, ready to go. 4 minutes before the show starts, it decides it's going to restart to do updates.
Yeah, because I had a link, and I went to the link, and it went to an old site.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what he said.
But look, I'm in high def.
Yes,
mode.
You look great today.
Yeah, I borrowed some gear from a pal of mine, and then I got some other gear on its way. So trying to keep this shit together here. We got the comments are already coming in. I love it.
Oh, that's good.
This guy, hey, Gonzalez. This is exactly the kind of party that's going on. Richard Gonzalez. I know it's Gonzalez, right? So
it's like Ron.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you all day. How are you?
Not bad. It's nice to see that big glowing thing in the sky.
Yeah,
but man, flooding everywhere. Jeez.
Yeah, I was. I have my cousin lives up in Traverse City, and they're getting it, and they got it so bad that it came up over the banks, and there was a bank, real tall bank that was under construction, and it collapsed. Yeah, collapsed. And then our good pal Mike Scott, of course, is from Beaverton, along with our pal Brandon Calhoun. And chaos up there. I'm going to grab the pictures from his page of the house up there. And apparently from what he says, that insurance isn't helping any of these people.
Oh, of course not. No, they would never help anybody.
Because they say that it says the insurance companies will not cover the damage which was caused by the illegal operations of the dam system and the company that owns it. Do you believe that shit?
There's a controversy between who owns the dam, or the state was telling them they had to do these regulations to fix the dam, and they didn't dam the dam to dam. And now everyone's saying, damn.
Well, you better fix the damn dams since the damn roads aren't getting fixed.
Fix the damn dams.
Fix the damn dams, for damn it. I said, damn it. So I'm going to show you these pictures.
Fix the damn dams.
Fix it. I'm going to bring these pictures in because they're rather disturbing. The first one I'll bring in is the picture of the house before. Okay.
Mike's house, right?
Yeah. I want to bring both these pictures in. I wanted to have all this shit ready before we started the show, but of course I screwed the whole thing up.
Well, we're waiting.
So this is the where'd it go? This is the picture of the house before.
Oh.
Okay. Very nice house, isn't it? This is today. Yeah.
Somebody flushed the toilet.
Yeah.
Holy cow. No, I mean, look at this. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure who this guy is sitting there, but hopefully he wasn't sitting there when this happened.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's terrible. Look how high that is. Right? So it looks like it's going up around, I don't know, it's well up halfway over the door, right?
Yeah. That's probably the over by you, the Blue Goose Inn. They usually have water up to their toenails.
Well, it was so bad over this way that over by Fishbones, right?
Yeah, Fishbones had waterfront property.
It's Lake Fishbone now. It's crazy. It's on top of all this other shit that's going on. Now people got to deal with this stuff too.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So, hopefully all those folks are okay down, in the middle of the state and up in the northern part of the state, and they're definitely in our thoughts and prayers. I was telling the folks before I got you on, I forgot to send you the link, of course, about Brian Pastoria joining us today from legendary Detroit bands Adrenalin and DC Drive.
Movies, television,
He's done it all. The guy's
they
done it all.
were on the charts and everything.
Yeah. I actually found some rare footage from Harpo's.
Ooh. We're going to surprise him. I know he's a fan of the show.
Of Road of the Gypsy live from Harpo's right before it was released. So we're going to play that today.
Well, if we get pee-pee slapped, we could always say, hey, Brian said it was okay.
Right. Yeah, we're not getting pee-pee slapped for that. I can guarantee you. So here's the plan.
He's his son Anton is also going to join us also, because it's the family business. We're going to get the inside scoop of what's going on with the Pastoria family, inside and out.
Yes, excellent. It's too bad we couldn't have snagged Mark up too at the same time. Just had all three of them.
Yeah,
I don't know. Kind of neat. I don't know. Maybe we'll give it a try. So I have a plan because I want to switch back down to this other computer. So hopefully you have a decently lengthy news segment for today.
Lengthy news segment. Yes, I do.
You do? Okay, excellent. I knew I could count on you.
I'll just go really slow.
In today's news. It'll be fun. So yeah, it'll take me a couple of minutes to switch this because I'm ready back on the other computer's ready. I just got to switch all the peripherals over.
All right.
And then I'll be good to go. So ladies and gentlemen, here is the news.
It's time for some news you can snooze before we get Brian Pastoria and family on right here on the Poncho and Cisco broadcast. Hi, I'm Poncho, and here's the news. It's not that good today. Sorry. Wednesday, the 20th, 2020. So that's 20. See what I did there? When the news are celebrating, ladies and gentlemen, today is National Dog Rescue Day. I would have my usual pets with me today. In fact, one is waiting outside the door, getting ready to bark at me. I'll have to bring him with you because now that Cisco's gone, I still have to let my pets in. If you could hold on a second, I'll show you. How am I going to do this? Okay. Just pointing at the door. See if you can see Mookie. Move all this out of the way. Can you see Mookie? No. That's Mookie. Mookie's at the door. That's Mookie. Mookie is a rescue. And I have to rescue right now. Come on, Mookie. Okay. Sorry about that, kids. When Mookie's got to go, Mookie's got to go. All right, back to the news. Again, flood stages everywhere when it comes to the rivers and ponds or streams all around the river. Raisin is above its banks right now. And it's only going to get worse as the day goes on because a lot of them have not reached flood stages yet. Other news, JCPenney, say so long, kids. JCPenney is closing 242 of their stores and declaring bankruptcy. Sorry, hard to see a staple around here in the Motor City and worldwide. Big Boys, 12 and Hoover, had a vicious fire over the last week, and their plans are to rebuild. We're going to make the Big Boys bigger and better than ever. Pier 1 is also going out of business after so many years in business. They are set to close 540 stores. FunFest, yeah, a lot of cancellations on the news today. FunFest Productions has put out a press release to pass along to you. A lot of the cancellations are happening. Stars and Stripes Festival canceled. Uncle Sam's Jam's canceled. The St. Clair River Fest is canceled. Rockin' on the Riverfront, where Chet was supposed to be opening up for Grand Funk, canceled. And more. And more cancellations to come. DTE Energy Music Theater had a whole list of different shows that is canceled from Billy Joel. Billy Joel has been not canceled, but rescheduled for the Comerica Park show for 2021. Other cancellations: Foreigner, Kansas, Breaking Benjamin, Bush, Theory of a Dead Man, Green Day, Weezer, James Taylor, Jackson Brown, Volbeat, Sammy Hagar is canceled, as well as Stone Temple Pilots, who was set to open up for Nickelback. So, STP, hopefully Stuff will get a live stream out of you. Other than that, weather warm-up for the holidays. Yep, that's right. Heading into Memorial Day weekend, it should be sunny and warm and hopefully dry up this place and make your grass at least 2-3 feet high. Find somebody to cut your grass for you. 45 years ago today, 45 years, if you can believe it, Aerosmith released Sweet Emotion. Styx's Dennis DeYoung is crying out to the press once again. He did it last year, but he's doing it again. This time around, same problem. He wants to do one more tour with the remaining members of Styx, just to say bye-bye the right way. He thinks he never got a chance to say goodbye because of all the turmoils within that band. Ozzy has come out in the press and says he will retire. He's looking at 5 to 10 years, not in jail, but 5 to 10 years left. He thinks he could do it. And if Ozzy could do it, Keith Richards can too. Other than that, it was in 1998. It was this date of 1998 that Tommy Lee, drummer for Motley Crue, was jailed for 3 solid months for kicking the shit out of Pamela Anderson. And, spousal abuse, can't do that nowadays. Can't do it back then either. It's a no-no. No. Tommy Lee served 3 months in jail for beating the shit out of Pamela Anderson. Not nice. It was also 1954, on this very day, rock and roll. We're talking rock and roll, brothers. Bill Haley in the comments released the immortal Rock Around the Clock, but it didn't do anything on the charts. Nothing on the charts till a year later when it was in the movie Blackboard Jungle. And then, boom, all the way to number 1. So keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Also, a happy celebrity birthday is to Cher. Yes! Cher celebrates the birthday today. She is 74. 74. And somebody says if she gets one more plastic surgery, she'll have a goatee. Also, Joe Cocker. Joe Cocker was born on this date in 1944. And here we go, Joe. Bringing back Cisco into the broadcast. The feel-good story. 287,000 people have recovered nationwide for corona. That's 28,234 right here in good old Pure, Michigan. That's the news you can snooze. I'm Poncho. All right, you fixed everything?
Poncho. Well, I'm back on.
Yeah, you fixed everything, and now you're cloudy.
I am?
Yeah, you're cloudy.
I look good on my stream.
Well, you're not looking good.
That's bullshit.
You look like you got corona.
Huh. Let's see if I go like this. Let me take it like this and see what happens. How's that? Is that better?
Oh, you look great.
It said high def.
Maybe it's hi.
Nah.
All right.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm looking it over at the other side. I see it. It's kind of.
All right, let's get Brian on here. Brian's awake.
Oh. Why is that? This video, it says the video is too large, but I made the video small, Poncho. I did. I made the video small.
I know. That that other camera was fantastic. Why it lasted.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, uh-huh. I see what happened here.
Jim Kish says, nope, Scott. It's just his face.
That's not even nice. That's just not even nice.
Mark says Vaseline vision.
Say hi to some of the people here.
All right. Let's say hi to some of the people. Hi to Brian Pastoria. I know you're waiting. Be patient. Dave the Dude, Dave DeRosen, Mark, Dawn Ballard. I'll send some waves back to Ronita, Kelly, Christy, Geroso, the sportscast menace that Jim is. How you doing, Jim? Welcome to the show. Rick Malone says, no Ezra, no Chit. Tamara, Jim, Mary. Good to have you all on the show today. Jackie, Kristen. Jackie, we got to get that bar opened up. Yeah. Justin Gunnell, when he's not watching porn, he's watching this show. Ricardo and many host of voters. Thank you for watching Poncho and Cisco in the afternoon.
Yes, we appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it. You know, all these freaking videos, I made them so that they were they were the right size.
Can you? Yeah. Hold on, Brian. Brian's texting me. Hey, no link yet. Did I do something wrong?
No, he didn't do nothing wrong. Settle down, Brian. We'll get it over to him right now. So we may not have any footage of any of this that I wanted to have.
Aw.
It's fucking ridiculous. Okay, so
we're
gonna have that for sure.
Oh, okay, good.
We got that. That's all good. But I cut these because these videos that come from YouTube, they're pretty large, and you have you only have a limited amount of space that you can upload the video to, right?
Correct.
So I had cut them all. I cut them all down under 5 minutes, like I was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if did I transfer the wrong video over? What did I do? You know,
it'd be cool if some porn showed up on our show accidentally. We go,
yeah, son of a gun.
Like that would happen.
It could definitely happen. So where is this guy? Let's see here.
Hang on, Anton, we're coming to you.
Yeah, I just sent him the link. But I want to keep him off for just a second here.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least get him in the queue.
Yeah. No, he's coming in the queue. He'll be in the queue momentarily. Yeah. Oh, it is 5 minutes and 22 seconds.
5:22.
What the hell? Huh. Interesting. Yeah, and I can't edit it on the fly here today.
Chuck's already on you. Chuck said, way to fall off the rails. While the train is still restrained in the station.
Hey, how about shut up? DC Drive over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe is experiencing testicle difficulties. Please stand by.
That one's 5:25. I can do this on the fly.
Yeah, you can do it on the fly.
I can.
You're Cisco.
Yeah. I'm going to cut this guy down a little bit because I'm showing one of these videos today, whether you like it or not. It is. You got no choice. You people have no choice but to see this video. So here's the Adrenalin one.
Okay.
All right. Oh, it's very long on here.
It's because they were cool. It was a cool band. That's why.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So hold on. I'll do the easier one first. Yeah, this one I can whack a few seconds off in the front of it.
There you go. Just don't cut the drum solo off.
No, I won't. So we'll split that there. This is all on the fly, folks. If you want to try it at home, you can. It ain't no thing. Okay, it's still. Oh, it is. Okay. So
You
we'll
suck.
make it over here. I think Brian's in the stream. I can't see him because I'm over here doing shit behind me.
I can't see him yet, but that's on your end.
No, he's there. So I'll tell you what. Bring him
You
in.
suck. You suck.
I'm gonna bring him in. Hold on. No, you know what? You suck. You're gone. Bye bye. See, I got rid of him.
There he is. There he is. I said, there he is. I see him. There he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Poncho and Cisco show. The one and only Brian Pastoria, our friend from way, way back.
Sorry it took so long, Brian.
That's okay. We're all good.
From legendary bands Adrenalin, DC Drive, star of TV, stage, and screen.
Production, music.
Also, the great Harmony Park Studios, which were downtown. Good to have you, Brian. How are you today?
Great, Joe. Great to be here.
Good to have
you guys. I've been enjoying your show a lot.
Thank you.
It's the it's the most unorganized clusterfuck production on the planet.
That's why I like it.
It's cool. How you been coping during the Corona thing?
It's been good. You know, it's great having my boys here and we're hanging out and you know, it's definitely quite a unique situation, but all is good.
Excellent. Poncho, I'm going to turn this over to you for a minute because I'm playing this video, damn it. I'll have it ready in a minute. So you take this thing over. I'll be right back.
All right. Let's give our listeners a brief throwback of how you got started and how the family started and how you got into bands. First of all, music-wise, what influenced you as a kid right off the bat to get into music?
Well, the first thing that happened to me was when the Beatles came on Ed Sullivan the very first time, and we were all in our living room at our house in East Detroit.
Oh, you actually watched the actual show?
Oh, yeah. It was a big deal because we had, you know, had heard about that it was going to be on, and I had no idea really what to expect. And we were sitting there as a family, and when they came on, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, especially with Ringo.
Oh, really?
I mean, I love the whole thing, but I love the drums from the time ever since I can remember. And, you know, I didn't, my parents wouldn't let me play drums at first. They wanted me to play piano. So they made me take piano lessons. And I did that for 4 years. And, you know, my neighbor had a drum set, Frankie LaRosa, and I would go to the window at his house and look in the window while he would be playing his drums, and he would be playing the Beatles, you know? So, you know, just seeing Ringo on TV like that and seeing him play the drums, just the way he played, he was just, I love him as a drummer. I mean, I just think when I hear the best versions of those Beatles songs, and then I hear Ringo's versions, the swing that Ringo put in those drum grooves was just unbelievable.
I've always known for years that people, you know, that are musicians and non-musicians would always make fun of Ringo. It's like, oh, you know, till they actually would have to try to play like Ringo on a song, and then they got it. Then they got it's like, wow, this is, you know, just same vision with Charlie Watts. Also, they all think it's so easy to play those licks, and boom, Ringo really had it. He had some stuff.
Yeah, he really did. And, you know, one of the great drummers on this planet is right from Detroit here in Warren is Greg Bissonette. Yeah. And Greg's been with Ringo for like 14, 15 years now.
We're trying. We're in the works of trying to get him on the show. We had Jason Hartless Jr. We had him on the show, and he was trying to get us Greg. I love Greg when he was doing the David Lee Roth stuff.
Oh,
that was an amazing time for him because that was one hell of a drum kit he was playing on those.
Oh yeah, that was great. You know, and I knew Greg from when he lived here. The Romeo brothers, who were in Adrenalin and DC Drive. You know, we all grew up together from first grade on, and our families were friends. And the Birch family, Bobby Birch and Danny Birch, they were cousins of the Romeos. And Bobby Birch was best friends with Greg Bissonette when he lived here. So I kind of knew about them. They were the ones who initially turned me on to like Zeppelin in Chicago when that started happening in the late 60s, you know, and I was listening to the Beatles. You know, we would go over to the Romeos' house and Bobby Birch would say, Brian, you got to hear this new band Led Zeppelin. Wait till you hear the drummer in this band. And then he put the first record on, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Wow.
You know, and Bobby was in, then Chicago, and hearing Terry Kath and, you know, Danny Serafini. You know, Danny Serafin was like the incredible drummer as well, you know. So the Birch guys, they turned us on to a lot of that music when we were young, you know, and Michael Romeo playing guitar, and, you know, then he got into the Zeppelin thing and really started getting into Jimmy Page, and, you know, so the whole friendship thing at the beginning there was awesome. And, you know, Bobby Birch went on to play with Elton John for a long time. You know, unfortunately, he passed away a few years back, and it was very heartbreaking. But that's how I know Greg. And when Greg and Bobby left Detroit, you know, Greg went to Texas, North Texas State, I think it was. It was a big music school. And so he went there, and then he moved to California, and then Bobby moved to California, you know, and over the years, they always said, Brian, you got to move here. You got to come here. And I just couldn't get to that point because my family.
It was there was something about a Detroit sound that you didn't want to leave.
Yeah, and you know, I just felt like I'd be one of a million guys out there in LA as a drummer, you know, and trying to find. And I loved playing with the Romeos and Bruce Schaefer, my brother, you know, Mark Gilbert, Dave Larson. You know, it was just a remarkable thing that happened, and it wouldn't have happened without being here. You know, so, but you know, hey, it was a blessing for those guys, still is for, you know, what Greg is doing. And but the whole thing is, when I talk to Greg about Ringo, because, you know, I hear people say that about Ringo, you know, and Greg unequivocally says that Ringo is one of the best he's ever heard. And it's because of the swing. It's the way he plays. And he's a left-handed guy, but he plays right-handed. So his right and left hand thing is different than most guys.
Right. He was telling a story most recently. They did a Sabian symbol, kind of like a live broadcast most recently.
Yeah, I saw that.
And wasn't it amazing the story he told about playing with Ringo? They had the synchronized drums, and him just turning his head and looking over his shoulder and seeing his hero playing right along with him. That had to be magical.
Man. I mean, that's. You know, it reminds me of when I got to play with Bernard Purdy. You know, we did a thing called the Sessions here with the book Sticks and Skins that I was blessed to be in with all the drummers. And when they did the big show here, they had Liberty DeVito and Johnny Badanjic and myself, and they brought in Bernard Purdy, who's played on more hit records than any drummer in history. And when I first met him, it was unbelievable. And we talked and we got into it. And then at the show, when the lady says, all right, we're gonna do Sitting by the Dock of the Bay, and Bernard's gonna play drums on this. And Bernard looked at me and said, Brian, why don't you play with me? There's 2 drum kits. And I went, seriously? Are you serious? Play Sitting by the Dock of the Bay with you? And I did. I got into it, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of watching his hands and how he played that groove, you know. So, you know, it was really cool, man. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that has been great over the years, you know. And I'm sure when Greg played with Ringo, I can't even imagine. I mean, if there was another drummer out there that I'd like to sit in with, you know. And like I said, when I hear those Beatles songs with Pete Best, all you got to do is go to YouTube and check it out. And you can hear the difference, especially in 1963 when it was all about getting on the dance floor. If you wanted to have a hit record, you better get those girls on the dance floor.
Well, that also brings to mind a saying, a bar owner named Joe Scroy. You know Joe Scroy.
Oh, yeah.
Joe used to always say to us, yo, get that dance floor going. Throw the romantics on.
Yeah.
He used to always say that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's, you know, that was the key thing all the time, you know, was being able to dance to those songs, you know, and nobody could do it better than Ringo. I mean, he really was. He was brilliant, man. Thank God for him.
So take us back. What was your first band you put together?
Well, the first band I was in was my dad's wedding band. And, you know, I didn't, like I said, when I had to play piano for 4 years, and when I got in 8th grade, I told my mom and dad that I was going to quit school after 8th grade and get a job.
I'm sure that went over real big.
Well, they laughed at me because they said, you want to quit school? Why do you want to quit school? And I said, because I'm going to get a job and I'm going to buy the drum set. You guys keep making me play this piano and I want to play drums, you know, and I have to go to Frankie's house next door and, you know, play on his drums and get the Beatles, you know. So I'm going to quit school and buy my drums. And they laughed. And then at Christmas time, I woke up and I went into the living room and there was my blue Slingerland Pearl set. And I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. And I started, you know, immediately put the records on our big Zenith stereo, you know, and playing those records and, you know, playing the drums to them. That was it for me, man. I mean, that's what really got me going. And then I just played like crazy. They tried to get me lessons with Sam Tundo, who was in the Detroit Symphony. Right. And, you know, I loved Sam. He played in my dad's band because my dad had a wedding band called the Blue Notes. And, you know, he said, Brian, if you're going to play drums, you got to learn from Sam. So I took like 3 or 4 lessons from Sam, and he was, you know, the paradiddles and the flam. Yeah. And it wasn't the Beatles record. Yeah, exactly. I told my parents, I said, listen, I love Sam Tundo, but I don't want to take lessons. They said, you've been saying for 5 years you want to take drum lessons, and now we got you drums and we got you lessons with a guy in the Detroit Symphony, and you don't want to play. And I said, because I don't want to do paradiddles. I want to learn how to play. I saw her standing there. I want to do the Beatles songs. So they were like really upset, and they said, you have to go tell Sam that you don't want to take lessons anymore. And I said, no problem. So when I went to take my lesson, I said, Sam, I'm going to stop taking lessons. And he said, why? And I said, because I don't want to do what we're doing here. I want to play the records. I want to just listen to the records and learn the songs that I love. And he said, Brian, you're never going to go anywhere if you stop doing this.
That's really, really super interesting. My dad and Sam Tundo were in the Army Reserve Band together.
Wow.
And played together for years. So I have a feeling my dad played with your dad and Sam in that wedding band.
You know what? That's what your name is familiar because of, you know what? I think so. What did your dad play?
My dad was a trumpet player.
Yep.
Tremendous trumpet player.
He did because the other guy that was in the band was Jerry Ross was in the band, and Jerry knew your dad.
Okay.
Jerry played saxophone. So when they did some shows and they did some things, like they needed a trumpet, they got your dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. I was with Sam on his boat a couple of years back, and he's a wonderful guy. But I couldn't imagine taking drum lessons from him.
Well, you know what? He was really good. And I'll tell you what was a great thing is once I got the band going and I was doing the touring and stuff, I was working at Guitar and Drum Center over there on Harper and 10 Mile. And they just let me have a job and, you know, just work there whenever I wasn't on the road. So it was cool. And, you know, when 1984, 85, it was, I think, September 85, I was in the up and coming drummers and Modern Drummer. And,
I remember that.
And it was like such a thrill to be in that magazine because I didn't miss an issue of that magazine. And when I got in the magazine, I was working at Guitar and Drum, and the guy says, Brian, there's a phone call for you. I said, who is it? He said, Sam Tundo. I said, what? I got on the phone and I said, Sam, how you doing? He said, Brian, I got to tell you, I was wrong. I said, whoa, really? He says, I got my Modern Drummer and you're in it. I never got in that magazine. And for me to say to you that you weren't going anywhere and now looking what you have done, you know, God bless you, Brian. I said, thanks, Sam. This call means so much to me. To hear that from you just means the world, you know? So it was. Yeah,
well, he was in the DSO for like forever.
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 Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's one of the master percussionists ever to come out of the city. He played on Motown records, you know, back in the day.
We had a few cocktails and I made him play stuff with ordinary silverware.
Yeah, silverware.
It was awesome. He's a really good dude. And him and my dad were really tight. About a year before my dad had passed away, they had a reunion of the Army Reserve Band, and there wasn't a lot of these guys left. I don't know, maybe 10 of them. And they all got together, and you know, I'm the youngest guy in the thing, and you know, listen to all these guys go back and forth. You suck, and you suck, and you know.
Right.
It was absolutely amazing. I now Scott, I missed some of what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're building it up from when he first started. He actually saw the Beatles on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show, playing the wedding band, and now we're building it up and stuff to his first couple bands, and then the explosion.
All right.
Well, the first band I was in. Yeah, what were you going to say, Joe?
No, go ahead. I'm ready.
Well, the first band I was in was my dad's wedding band. Because when I was in high school, I was just, my mom and dad had divorced, and it was really tough on us. And then my dad got with me and said, "Listen, our drummer's leaving, Joe Abbott, and we need a drummer. And I wanted to see if you wanted to play in the wedding band." And I was like, "Cool. How much do you pay?"
Do you play the Beatles?
Yeah, they did actually.
Oh, cool. There you go. You at least had something.
So they said, they invited me out, and I started doing that. And they were always saying, Brian, the most important thing that you can do in this band is keep those people on the dance floor. That's the number one thing. And I was like, hey, great. So I really got into that groove, and I did that for about a year and a half, just playing every weekend, making sure they were on that dance floor. And I would play all those wedding dance songs and all that kind of stuff. And it was really great. And, I did that.
Now, how old were you then?
I was 17, 18 years old.
All right. Excellent.
So it was different having a young guy in a band like that. A lot of the people that were at the places, they would come up and, say some stuff to me, like, hey, good job on those drums, and it was cool, but I never in a million years would have thought that I got the band going.
And then you had others coming up going, "Hey, can you play that Tommy Dorsey song again?"
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe A-Train. Come on.
Exactly. Well, it was great too because, I went to high school with Mike Haggerty. Was in Adrenalin, and he was a guitar player. And Flash in high school, he was like part of the rock crowd, and I was more of a jock when I was in high school because I loved playing football and baseball, and football was my thing. I really, really loved football. And I never, like I said, never in a million years would I've ever thought I would have been in a band because I didn't think I was that good. I just I can't do what Keith Moon does, and if you're a Ringo, you better have John, Paul, and George with you, if you're going to do this right, So for me, I just never gave it a thing, that I was going to be able to do that. And then one day I was driving in Grosse Pointe there on Mack and 8 Mile, and I had my drums in the back of my car, and they were, they could be seen through the windows, and it was great because I ran into Flash, and he says, "Brian, you're playing the drums here, huh?" And I says, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, I'm just starting a new band, and I'm writing songs, and we're looking for a drummer." And I was like, "You're writing songs? Like, you got songs and they're good." And he says, "Yeah, why don't you come and check it out?" So I said, "Okay, man, when do you rehearse?" He says, "We're rehearsing in an hour. Why don't you just come over? You got your drums in the car." And I said, "All right, I'll come by." So I went there, and he started playing me a couple of these songs, and I was like, "Wow, these are good songs, Flash. I really like this." And we sat and we jammed, played some Uriah Heep by Steel. We did "Stealing" by Uriah Heep, and rock and roll. What was it? Rock and roll music, and a few other songs. And he said, "Brian, you got to do this." And I'm like, I would just join the band, and you want me to join the band, and and so we got into it, and I loved it. And then I had to tell my dad I was going to leave the band, and I told Flash, I went to grade school with some amazing musicians, and I said, "You got to meet Mike Romeo. He's phenomenal." So we got in the car. Mike was a junior in high school at East Detroit High. And we got in the car. We went to his house. His mom was cooking pasta on the stove. And, Mike says, "What are you guys doing?" And I said, "We just started a new band, and we really could use a great guitar player." And he's like, "Well, I'm still in high school." I said, "So it's going to take a little while to get this going. You go to school during the day. We don't play until at night. So what's the big deal?" And Mrs. Romeo was just looking at me, "Brian, what are you doing with my son?" And I said, Mike, play Whole Lot of Love. I want Flash to hear you play Whole Lot of Love. the solo that Jimmy Page does. He says, "You want me to put the record on?" I said, "No, just play the solo. The music's in your head. Just play the solo." And he played that solo like he was Jimmy Page. At 16 years old, 17 years old. And yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh my God. And Flash just freaked out. So then we got Mike, we got Romeo in the band. And then we said, hey, man, the other guy I went to school with is Bruce Schaefer. He's a bass player. You know, and Paul Finazzo, I'm playing with him at church now. And Paul's a legendary bass player himself. You know, I said, we'll never get Paul Finazzo because he's already touring with all these artists. And, you know, at 18 years old, 19 years old. And so I said, let's get Bruce Schaefer. And then Bruce got in the band. And then we started playing and recording. And then Jimmy Romeo joined the band. And then we started doing, you know, with the sax. When we first got the set, we had 2 guitars, bass, drums, and lead vocals. We were like an Aerosmith, Rolling Stone band. But I loved Springsteen and I loved Seeger. And I said, you know, we're not going to be able to compete on the 2 guitar thing, just having the 2 guys. Let's invite Jimmy to a show. And Jimmy was a great baseball player. He was an all-star pitcher. He played at Tiger Stadium. The Tiger, you know, he was going to get drafted and he was in college, but he loved music too. So we played a gig over at Grosse Pointe Shores Park over on 8 Mile and Lakeshore. We did a big show there and we brought Jimmy on stage. And when Jimmy came on stage with that sax and we started playing songs with saxophone, the crowd went crazy. For them to 2 guitars and then a guy on a sax blowing like he did, which he was like one of the great sax players in rock and roll. He really was, you know.
Certainly.
So there was not too many cats besides me, you know, the big man, Clarence Clemens. You know,
he was pretty tall also, from what I remember.
Yeah. Jimmy was a little bit taller than us for sure. And you know, so it was So, you know, that's when the band really started happening. And then we went in the studio with Jerry Allaire. And we were cutting songs, and one of we were in the studio, and Jerry says, you know that song you guys do live, Gimme Good Lovin', like Crazy Elephant? I said, yeah. And he said, let's cut that. And I said, well, we just did all the originals. Why do we want to do a cover song? He says, because the people love that song. Every time you guys play it live, everybody goes crazy. And then David sings that line. He changes it from New York, the girls out in New York City, to the girls out in Detroit City. You know, and I was like, okay, cool. Let's cut it. We did it. We cut it. I think we played it one time. He goes, okay, that's it. That sounds great. We went in. He made a cassette of the 5-6 songs that we recorded. I gave it to Doug Podell. Or Jerry knew Doug. He was good friends with Doug. He says, he went to a party on that Friday night. He says, I want to play this tape for Doug. So Doug hears the tape and he hears Gimme Good Lovin'. He says, I'm playing this on the radio tomorrow.
That's when he was at W4, correct?
Yeah, W4. So Jerry calls me and he says, Brian, Podell loves Gimme Good Lovin'. God, we cut that song. I said, wow, that's great. The next day, I'm driving down the street and I got W4 on because that was the time when it was my favorite station. And all of a sudden, I heard those drums at the beginning. And I just like went, oh, my God. I pulled my car over, and I says, this is our band. We're on the radio. You know, and it just, from then on, everything just exploded for us. You know, I mean, it was never the same. I mean, that one song alone just got everybody coming to our shows and all the bars that we played at. Then it was, you know, the bar owners were freaking out. You know, Joe Scroy. You know, people like that when we would play the bars, you know, and, you know, being on the radio helps draw people. You know, there's nothing better especially during that period. The only way you could get anywhere was to get on the radio.
Right.
No other way to get your songs heard was to be on the radio. And, you know, back in the day, you know, with Doug and you know, and all the, you know, the local DJs, you guys had so much freedom back then. If you liked music, you could play music, and it was all about discovery. You know, back in the day, radio was about discovery. We listened to the radio so the DJs would turn us on to music. And that's what you guys did back in the day, Scott. I mean, it was, you know, it was, you know, part of your gig, you know, and, you know, so when we got on the radio, that was it. And, you know, and then we met, you know, doing the shows and playing Belle Isle and doing concerts. And then, you know, the different artists would ask, when they would come to Detroit, they'd say, who could we get to open up for us? And the, radio guys would say, hey, Adrenalin would be a great opening act, and it was like, wow, this is great, and so we started putting records out, and, we put our EP out with Don't Be Looking Back, and, touring, went down in Texas, and, the state of Texas was in love with Adrenalin. And so they would play Don't Be Looking Back and Angel in the Day and I Need You. And, and then, MTV was happening. So, Angel in the Day got on MTV and then that started happening. And then, 38 Special was like, hey, we need a band and Cheap Trick. And, and then the big thing that happened was we got a deal with Rockshire Records. And they said, okay, we're going to do your first album. And, we're going to do the deal. Who would you guys want to produce you? And I had just heard Peter Criss's solo album. And I knew Peter wasn't the greatest drummer in the world. But when I heard his record, I was like, oh my God, this is the best record of all four of the guys in Kiss. And Peter's singing and the songs were great. And they had an R&B thing. That was what the thing about Adrenalin, I think, was we had that soul thing. We would Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson, Motown. That was our big influence. We loved Zeppelin and all those bands, but our influence, like back in the day, was a lot of the R&B and soul music. And we took that and gave it a rock kind of edge to it, put the rock groove to it with the sax and with all our singing guys in the band that could sing. It was a great thing. So when the guys at the label said that, I said, who produced that Peter Criss record? And they said, Vinny Poncia. And I went, Vinny Poncia? Oh my God.
Vinny Boom Boom Poncia.
Exactly. He worked with the Beatles.
Yeah.
He worked with Ringo. He worked with George Harrison. He did this. And then when I did my research, I found out that he worked with the Ronettes and he was with Phil Spector and he was a songwriter and he was a singer, a songwriter. He was in groups, the a cappella groups. And so I told the guy at the label, I said, they mentioned a bunch of, I said, we want Vinny Poncia. And they were like, Vinny Poncia? Huh? Why do you want Vinny Poncia? I said, listen.
You asked me.
This guy made a great record. Yeah. If this guy made a great record with Peter Criss,
just think what he can do for us.
He's doing.
Right. We need him.
Exactly. So they said, okay, well, let's get a hold of him. They got a hold of his manager, Rick Aliberti. And, Vinny was so cool. He heard our demo and he said, I'm going to go to Detroit. He took the train to Detroit because he hated to fly. So he took the train. I went and picked him up at the train station. And as soon as I met him, I just felt like, wow, this is magical. He didn't have that big producer guy attitude. He was just dressed real down to earth, and he loved it. He came to our studio on 8 Mile there between Gratiot and Shaner. We had a studio with Jimmy Risk is our manager, and he had a t-shirt store in the front, and then he had a big place in the back. And we said, this is great back here. We could just do our rehearsals back here. So Vinny came, we started getting into it, and then we recorded our first album over at the Boogie Hotel in Long Island. And it was just a great thing, man. Vinny was really the difference, I think, between our band and a lot of the other local bands, because there was a lot of great local bands at the time.
Yeah.
And the Look and BSA and Toby Red and Strut and all the bands back in the day, they were really good. But when you're in a band, the most important thing is to make a great record.
Right.
You gotta have great songs and great production. Otherwise, radio will have nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can have the greatest song in the world, and if it sounds like shit, who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares?
Exactly.
You'll never remember it. But you get a song with great production, and then you're like,
And that was back in the day also, when you could go to like New York on a Tuesday and there'd be 800 people inside.
Yeah.
Back when drinking and driving was a challenge, before it was against the law.
Yeah. Exactly.
Quarter beer night was one of the greatest. Was one of the greatest inventions ever.
Exactly.
It was the greatest event. So that brings us to I got this. I had another one that I wanted to play, but unfortunately, the whole thing's off the crazy train. So But check this out, folks. I got some adrenaline footage from Harpo's in Detroit.
Ooh,
And this is right before Road of the Gypsy was released. Right before, shortly before. We're gonna play it for you now. See, I told you, Poncho. I told you I'd catch up and have shit ready.
Yeah.
So this isn't what I really wanted to play, but this is still very cool. Check it out, folks. Adrenalin, Road of the Gypsy.
And we're gonna play you a little special treat on one of the songs that we believe will be a very strong tune on this album. It's a song called Road of the Gypsy.
When I was alone,
Oh,
So
how's that for music video fans?
Wow. I haven't
check
heard
this
that in a
out,
long
folks. Okay. As it says right here, Road of the Gypsy was featured in the 1986 film Iron Eagle. Now, I had, at the time, I was in the Navy when Iron Eagle came out. And before I went in the Navy, I spent most of my time partying at places like the Ritz in New York, and going out and hanging out with Adrenalin and Strut and Seduce and all the great Detroit bands. And Iron Eagle, we had it piped into the ship on the closed caption. They brought it in.
Wow.
When it got released, and the song comes out, I'm like, holy shit, I know these dudes, you know. And it was so cool to see, because you're out in the middle of nowhere, you have no idea what's going on back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited. I was like, man, how cool is that? And I remember we had like this little room where we all gathered, to watch movies and sit around and bullshit and whatever. And it come on, I was like, man, I said, you guys, man, none of you guys ever seen these guys live, and I'm telling them all the stories about shit that went down. It was very exciting for me. So,
wow, that's so cool. That's a great story.
It's awesome. So, there it is. Adrenaline, Road of the Gypsy. For those of you who just fell off the turnip truck, we're hanging out with our pal, Brian Pastoria, and we're in the Adrenaline days. We're doing a This Is Your Life with him is what we're doing.
Oh, he's got the Adrenaline shirt on.
Oh, awesome. Oh.
Union timeout.
It's a union timeout.
All right.
Cheers to you, Brian.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. So
I was just looking for my album during that song. It was like, you got my album here.
I have a cassette down in the archive somewhere. I got all kinds of crazy cassettes down in the archives. In fact, every time we talk to somebody from the legendary Detroit scene, I have the most incredible archive of Detroit music that's been digitized. That I digitized Bittersweet Alley, Adrenalin, DC Drive, all of it. I mean, this folder's huge. And I happened to be going through it the other day after we had talked about having Brian on the show, and going back and listening to some of this stuff. Again, production value is everything. You nailed it. Like, you got to have, because there were some great songs, but the production sucked.
Yeah,
it sucked.
It's huge. That's why I ended up getting into the production side of things.
Yeah.
When I got through with the band, I got into the production, and now I'm into the new media marketing. Because no matter what kind of music you make, no matter how good it is, even when you do have the right production and you do have the right record, and it does sound great, like we did with Dave Mason and Aretha Franklin and all this stuff, and the Velvet Hearts and all these records we made over the years, when you're sitting in the room and you just love what you hear and you're like, oh my God, this is great.
How are they going to hear it?
Now
we're going to get up to that point. We just got out of we're in the adrenaline years right now. And adrenaline, you gotta forgive me. Usually I'm a little more astute on these things. How long was Adrenaline officially a band?
Well, we started in 1977 and we went until 87.
Okay. So you got a good 10-year run out of it.
Yeah. And when, listen, we probably would have never even disbanded if there wasn't a lot of the issues. I mean, our first singer, David Larson, he ended up dying, and it was a suicide right when Gimme Good Lovin' was happening. And one of my favorite bands after, during that time was the Rockets.
Yeah.
I loved the Rockets. I thought they were the ultimate Detroit band with McCartney and Danzig. And then when they got, I used to go see him at the red carpet before Dave Gilbert joined the band. And I loved him when B was singing. He was playing the drums and singing. And I go, oh my God, this guy's incredible.
Yeah.
And I didn't know B. I just knew that he was with Mitch Ryder and all that. But, and he played on Free Ride and a couple other songs on the Edgar Winter album. They Only Come Out at Night. He played Free Ride and a couple of the other songs on that record. And when I saw them, it was when Dave Gilbert first joined the band, it freaked me out. I couldn't believe how great of a singer he was and the charisma he had. And it was like, oh my God, the Rockets finally, they got it all going on now. And when that happened, it was like, a really, really a big deal.
That was a game changer. That was a game changer when he joined the band.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Sure.
So
I remember his stage presence was so overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could be listening to the band, but you're just watching this guy do his thing.
Oh, he was so remarkable. And then, when David died, we were like, what are we going to do now? David was a star. He was a great guy. He just came from a tough situation because he was an adopted kid, and the drugs didn't help. And he really felt like he was going to let us all down with all the great things that were happening. And he just said, I got to go. I don't want to let you down. Stay the best. Fuck the rest. That was what he wrote in the letter to us. I love you guys. And we all had family, 2 sets of brothers in the band, and he was adopted, didn't know his parents. Really, really tough. And, when he died, it was like we thought it was going to be over. And, and somebody told me, we did a few auditions, and somebody told me, Dave Gilbert's brother? And I said, he's got a brother? And he said, yeah, he's actually jamming with Joe Perry. When Aerosmith broke up, Joe Perry had Mark Gilbert was singing with him. And when I heard it was Mark Gilbert, Dave Gilbert's brother, and that Joe Perry was singing with, Joe Perry, I'm like, how do we get a hold of this guy?
Right.
And within days, we got with him. He came to our rehearsal studio, and we immediately connected. And the great thing was when he started playing the songs that he wrote. And he had written a few great songs at that time, and we started jamming, and it was just it just clicked immediately, and we were back. We were immediately back with a great new singer, and that's when we started with Mark in 1980. Right after Dave died, actually, and then we started over again. And that was a big thing.
Yeah, I never got to see the band. With Dave, of course, I was too young. And, that was most of it, so I couldn't get into place. But I do remember the first time I saw the band, and I was like, yeah, this is the real deal, man. And so you had a 10-year run, in any era is incredible.
And the Beatles had 10 years.
And to do it under, to have that adverse circumstance and to lose Dave, and then come up with another incredible singer. It's almost Van Halen-esque.
Yeah, it was very, very, a very blessed situation, man. What happened with all that. And, we went on, and, Mark had his issues because Dave and Mark, had the same issues with the drugs. They had parents that were deaf mutes. Both their mom and dad were deaf mutes. And both of these guys could sing like nobody else. And it was like, how do you have parents that can't talk or hear, and you guys got the best ears and the best voice?
Well, it's because they could sing all they wanted, and nobody could tell them to shut up because they couldn't hear them.
Exactly. And they
got we don't know what they're doing. They're doing this, but who knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, it was incredible. And when we did that, and we had the record thing happened, and then we put out the first record on MCA, and it was Faraway Eyes. It was actually on Rockfire Records. Faraway Eyes was the first song before Road of the Gypsy that really took off nationally. And Rockshire, the owners of Rockshire, they were a subsidiary of MCA, and the owner, Rocky Davis, his wife, she was embezzling money from Hughes Aircraft. So they had the record label, and she was embezzling money from Hughes Aircraft to fund the label. So I'm like, I had no idea until all of a sudden they said, okay, the record is now with Faraway Eyes is under receivership because it's an asset to the company. So we have no more money for promotion.
Oh, jeez.
And we were like, oh my God. Payola, I mean, for embezzling, how did we get in this shit? And then we're going through the stuff with Gilbert, and we just kept it together, and we said, listen, we got to go back to New York to the Boogie Hotel. Let's record some of the new songs, and maybe we can get something going with the new songs. So one of the songs we did was Road of the Gypsy with 3 or 4 other songs. And then when Capitol Records, the guy at Capitol Records heard the song, he said, oh my God, we're doing a movie with Lou Gossett Jr. And this song is like the theme song for the movie. Do you guys have a deal? And we said, we don't have a deal right now. But let's see what happened. They said, well, they turned it on to the people that they were doing the movie, and they heard the song, and they went, this is the theme song for the movie. And so we were like, oh my God, this is great, and so then Capitol said, well, maybe we should do a deal. So Jimmy Risk went immediately back to MCA, who was the parent company, and said, how can we do this where we can take some new songs and re-release the old songs, put it on a new record? And, would you guys be interested in doing a deal? Because Capitol wants to sign him. And if I don't have an answer by tomorrow, I'm going to do a deal with Capitol. MCA, Richard Palmese, and Irving Azoff, they said, no, we're doing the deal. We're doing the deal. Don't sign with Capitol. The record will come out. The movie will be on the soundtrack. We'll promote that. We'll do the new album. We'll call the album Road of the Gypsy instead of American Heart, which was the first record. And we'll take and remix some of those songs and put Road of the Gypsy and Summer Nights on the record and re-release it. And we were like, oh my God, this is great. So we did. And that's when we toured with Aerosmith and 38 Special and Cheap Trick and Stevie Ray Vaughan and, all these great bands. And we were on the road touring all over North America with our favorite bands and getting a great reception. Road of the Gypsy was charting. We're on the charts with Bruce Springsteen and Aerosmith and all this stuff. And we just kept jamming and going and going. And, we did that for, almost a year. And I woke up one morning and I was having coffee and I put the TV on and they said, oh, there's a payola scandal happening at MCA Records. And Richard Palmese and Irving Azoff are brought into in a new investigation for payola. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Not again.
I called Jimmy Risk, my manager, and I said, Jimmy, I just saw Irving and Richard on the morning news. They just got into a payola scandal for radio payola. We had all this equipment that we were supposed to get. We didn't get. It was $150,000. And that was the money that he said, Brian, I said, you gotta be kidding me. This cannot be happening. And sure enough, we found out there was no more money. They were stopping the promotion. And again, Mark Gilbert with the drug issues, that just went to another level. And I didn't even know what to say. I mean, going through everything we went through with the first thing, and then the embezzlement, and now this payola, and all the issues that Mark was dealing with, and we really wanted to try to help him whatever way we could. And it was just, I was still a pretty young guy, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say, what to do. This is just beyond unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know how I would react to something like that. I'd be tripping balls.
It was beyond unbelievable. I couldn't even believe what was happening. And, really at that point too, it was my faith in God that really helped me get through all this, because otherwise I would have been, into the whole idea of maybe this is all wrong. And maybe, I'm doing this all wrong. But it didn't. I said, we got to keep the faith. And that's when we were around that time is when we did Guitar Army.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Podell put that together, and I was, really blessed to be one of the house drummers with Chad Smith in Gunner. He had Chad, Gunner, and myself as the core drummers, and we played with all the legends of Detroit, Michigan rock.
Wow.
And we did that whole Guitar Army thing. And the big thing about the Guitar Army, I mean, meeting Dick Wagner, and doing all that was just, I couldn't even believe how great that was. Meeting all my heroes in music and then playing drums on their hit songs, and then a couple weeks before the show was going to happen, Doug calls me up and he says, Brian, we got a headliner. I said, who's that? He said, Mark Farner. And I was like,
whoa,
Mark Farner, because Grand Funk was one of my favorite bands. Johnny Brewer,
the
whole thing with Grand Funk. And I'm like, so is Grand Funk gonna, because Mark left Grand Funk at that point. And I was like, okay, so we're playing Grand Funk hits with Mark Farner. He said, yeah. So we did the rehearsal. Farner came in. I couldn't even believe I was seeing the same room with him. So that was my second concert I ever saw, was at Cobo with Grand Funk. I was in third row, and I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Wow.
You know? And then when Caught in the Act came out, and you know, all that great stuff, and I just loved Mark Farner so much. I mean, as a guitar player, as a songwriter, as a singer, you know, there was very few cats. I still can't believe that band isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I know.
It's beyond unbelievable. You know,
Brian, we've discussed this on several occasions, and this whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing.
Yeah,
and we figure, I don't know. I think while we're down in Corona, we should just go down and close that joint up down in Cleveland, grab all the shit that we want, bring it up here, and we open up one in Detroit where it should be.
No. They can.
You got a better idea?
They can keep it in Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah, we're already working on something that I think is going to happen.
Okay.
And I don't really want to say it all here. I'm not going to tell you who, where, what, how, but Detroit is not the place for the Rock and Roll Hall.
Come on, break it on our show. Nobody's watching.
Detroit,
he's right, you know.
Detroit is not just rock and roll.
Oh, no, by no means.
We are going to do in Detroit the Music Museum and Hall of Fame, because we represent all genres of music, from jazz to the blues to the rock to the R&B to the soul to the gospel to the techno to the garage rock, every genre. So Music Museum and Hall of Fame in Detroit is what is happening.
I'm so glad that you included the techno in that. I mean,
that's
really proud.
We're the birthplace.
Well,
the birthplace is right here in Detroit.
The godfathers of techno. I mean, they were my good friends, Eric and them, you know, and Carl Craig. I mean, they started that. So it's like, to me, keep the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you're not going to have Bad Company and Jay Giles and Grand Funk in the Hall of Fame, keep it in Cleveland. Okay, you guys don't know what you're doing, and we're going to do it here, and we're going to do it right.
I like that idea, and of course, with the upcoming expansion of the Motown Museum, that's going on. That's going to be. I happen to have inside information on that, and I've seen the stuff that's going to happen there is just incredible. So you put those two things together, and hey, Cleveland, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to say it, right? By doing what we're doing. And really what Detroit needs to do, and what Rochelle Riley, that's why I was so excited about Rochelle Riley being named the Director of Arts, Culture, and Entrepreneurship in Detroit, because we have never given the focus on the music and the arts that have come from our city. We always talk about the car industry and you know all these other things. But the biggest thing around the world, when I've gone to Australia and when I went to Bali, Indonesia, and I was in Hong Kong, and I was in Europe, and I was at the, you know, in England, in Liverpool, and all these places, when I say, they say, where are you from, Brian? I'm from Detroit. They didn't say, oh, the home of the Mustang. They were like, Stevie Wonder. Oh my God, you guys are the Four Tops. You guys are Bob Seger. You guys are, you know, come on, man. They didn't talk about anything but the music. Ted, you know, all that. I mean, it's just the music is, and it's because of the car industry. That's the reason. 100 years ago, when Henry Ford started what he started here, it brought people from all down south and around the world to Detroit for jobs, and they hated working in the factories. So where did they go? They went to Paradise Valley, and they were hanging out watching John Lee Hooker and Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, and all the people were going, oh my God, what is this? This is insane. And so that's when, you know, that's when all of this really came to light. When the Beatles did their first album, they had 3 Motown songs on it.
Right. Yeah, isn't that amazing? That's amazing. I mean,
it's unbelievable. But that's what our whole thing about our culture and our heritage here in Detroit is all about, the music and the arts. It really, really is. And so that's why I got into this with Howard Hertz and Adrian Tanan and, you know, Ralph Armstrong and some really great people, Angel Gambino. We got some really great people together, and we've got a group. I've been talking to them a lot lately, and I don't want to say anything about it happening until they tell me they got the money in the bank. And they're telling me that it's happening and it's on its way. So
well, a lot of people don't realize the depth and the scope of all the music that's come out of here, out of Detroit. I'm still, there's stuff that I still learn every day, things that I never knew before. And
listen, I have to do this in my life. You know why? I was so blessed to be friends with Maurice King, who was the musical director at Motown Records, and Charlie Pops Atkins, who was the choreographer. And I got to know Beans Bowles and all these people. And Mr. King was the one who really opened up. When in the mid 80s, when we were doing our Adrenalin thing, we used to do an a cappella song. And when he heard us do the a cappella, he freaked out. And then he got Beans Bowles. He told them, tell Brian Pastoria to call me. So I called him and he told me who he was. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. You were the music director at Motown? And I said, what else did you do? He said, I did all Jackie Wilson's records.
Wow.
I worked with John Lee Hooker. I was doing stuff with the at United Sound before there was ever Motown. And then he started telling me all the stories and about, you know, Jackie Wilson. I mean, come on. If there was no Jackie Wilson, there would be no Michael Jackson, Prince. I mean, come on. He was James Brown learned from Jackie Wilson.
With no Jackie Wilson, the Statue of Liberty would have never saved New York City in Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is great. I love it. But that's how I learned about all this stuff. And I heard it directly from him. You know, Mr. King was, you know, he was an incredible, incredible man. I'm glad I'm talking about him on this show because he became a dear friend of mine. And I know they celebrate Motown and Berry Gordy, God bless him. But without Maurice King, without Maxine Powell, without Charlie Atkins, and without Barney Ailes, who just passed away a couple weeks ago. If there was no Barney Ailes, there would have been no Motown. When Barney first came up with that, see, Berry Gordy worked for Jackie Wilson, and he did all the hits for Jackie, the big hits, and Berry didn't get paid. And back then they wouldn't play black music on the radio. So they had to take the radio, and again, I knew Vince Maley, who owned the jukebox company. He was a dear friend of mine too, and he knew Mr. King, and Mr. King told me about Mr. Maley, and Mr. Maley told me about Mr. King, and he said, Brian, they wouldn't play black music on the radio, so I started a jukebox company, and I had 28 states with jukeboxes in them. And guess what? All those white people were freaking out about the black music, and they wouldn't play it on the radio, so they would go to the restaurants and the bars, and they would load it up with money so they could hear these songs. Because there was no way.
He had to make a fortune.
Unbelievable. The jukeboxes were the key to the whole thing. And he said Berry Gordy, when he worked for Jackie, he was on the assembly line. And he wanted to start his own company, have his own publishing company, his own management company, everything under his roof. But he hired Barney Ailes to be the main guy. And he told Barney, and I was friends with Barney too. Barney, here's the deal. I need to, number one, get the songs on the radio. So if you can get them on those radio stations, that's number one. Number two, I need to get paid. And you are the only guy that can bring both of those things, and you need to come on board with my company. They don't talk about Barney Ailes very much in the Motown thing because Barney was the guy who got him on the radio and got paid. And Barney never wanted to be out front. He said it was Berry. When I met Barney, I said, Barney, if Berry Gordy didn't get paid and he didn't get those songs on the radio, there would have never been a Motown. Simple as that. Wow. And he said, well, that's a movie waiting to happen.
Yeah.
You know, folks, you're hearing stuff here that many of you probably have never heard before. This is an incredible story. Of course, everybody knows Berry Gordy,
right?
You know, figurehead of Motown. But now you're learning that the story behind the story is always better than the story.
That is the key. The story behind the story.
Is always the story. So there needs to be more behind the stories. Does that make sense?
Well, absolutely. And, again, one of the things that I'd like to pull off here is a movie about Barney Ailes and Maurice King and Charlie Atkins and Maxine Powell, because they were the people that were behind the history that was made at Motown.
That would be one of the coolest movies ever.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that should be done, and somebody needs to get on it. And apparently, you're thinking about it, so somebody's on it.
We're on it. I'm already talking to people about it. I'm already talking to movie people about it, and the people that are funding the museum. When my conversations with them, and I brought up this movie idea, and the other one in the movie is Rosalie Trombley. I mean, that's a movie in itself about Rosalie, because she was in the radio's business when it was nothing but a bunch of guys running everything.
Broke records left and right.
Broke them left and right, and she was playing the black records when nobody else would play them, and she didn't care about what color the musician was. She just wanted to know that it was a great song.
Right.
And Rosalie Trombley is I heard when I met the radio promotion guys who were busted in the payola thing eventually, but when I first got to know those guys, I heard what Rosalie was like when those guys would walk into her office. She'd be smoking a cigarette at her desk, and they'd say, well, we're going to play. This is the record we want you to play. And she goes, like with Elton John, I'm not going to play, I'm not going to play Love Lies Bleeding. There's no way. And they were like, well, you have to. That's the single. She said, no. Detroit is our main audience here at CKLW. I'm playing Benny and the Jets. They're going to love Benny and the Jets. And they were like, you can't do that. She took her cigarette and she flicked it at him. She said, watch this. And next thing you know, it was going through the roof. And the story of how she handled the independent promotion guys at radio, and they would come in to make her play what they thought was the song, and she would say, no, that's not the song. This is the song. And she was right every time.
Wow.
And she was a woman in this man's world. And all these guys at the independent promotion guys they were tough guys. Okay?
Yeah.
You did not mess with them. And to be a woman in 1966 saying, go. She was incredible. And
that
God
would
bless Rosalie. God bless her.
That'd be a great standalone one too.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gotta happen.
So let's
be a great story.
Let's jump back to 1987. And what was take us to the end of the Adrenalin days?
Well, what happened was the Guitar Army, back to that. When we played with Mark Farner, Mark and I hit it off big time. I mean, he was like, Brian, you're playing these songs right. And I said, well, thanks, Mark. I love Donnie, and I would not play these songs unless I played them just like Donnie played them, because the reason why those songs are great is the way you guys played them. It wasn't just the song. It was how he played those drums, how you played those guitar riffs, how you sang, all the, the arrangements, all that was the key to the whole thing. So if you don't play it if you don't play those songs like they're supposed to be played, you're not going. He says, Brian, you're right on. So we got into it, and he gave me his phone number, and I started calling him at his house, and we really hit it off. And then, about a couple months after this thing happened with the payola thing, and Mark was unfortunately not on the right path, and Mark and I were talking, and he said, Brian, this band I got, they're not hitting it, and I'm doing these shows, and without doing those songs the way they're supposed to be done, the shows aren't coming off the way they should. And I said, well, we're having some issues too. And our singer, Mark is going through a lot, and we need a break. And with everything we've gone through over the last, 9-10 years, we need a break, and we don't want to break up because we're too strong together. But we it's too much to just try to have this, switch gears and try something new. Be better, and he said, Brian, why don't you guys come to a rehearsal? And I was like, you mean like a rehearsal with you to play your songs? And he said, yeah. Can you come Saturday? So I called the guys and I said, let's go get with Mark and play these songs and see what happens. Let's not make it. Let's just see what happens. We went into rehearsal. We played 3 songs. Mark said, I got a show next week. You guys want to do it? And I looked at the guys and I was like,
I'm in.
What are we waiting for? Let's figure out what we're going to do as we get into this with Mark. And if we can just do some touring and make some money and play Grand Funk songs, that's not a bad way to go. So that's what we did. We started touring with Mark. A couple weeks later, we called off a few of the gigs we had. We got with Mark, went on the road, and we toured with him for over a year and a half.
Wow.
All over North America.
Awesome. And that had to be a lot of fun, eh?
Yeah, just, playing Grand Funk music and seeing the fans and you're playing closer to home, and I'm looking out in the crowd and I'm going,
cigarette lighters. Yay.
Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. I can't believe it. And the thing was, Mark Farner is one of the most incredible human beings I've ever been around in my life. Mark Farner, at the time too, we were into a whole spiritual thing and writing songs. I mean, everything's going to be all right. We had with Adrenalin, if you listen to those words, and I wrote the lyrics to that song, and I wrote that as a prayer to God. Everything is going to be all right. But I never told anybody. Your eyes are like stars in the night shining over the deep blue sea. We may be light years away, but you're always looking over me. I mean, that was not about some girl looking across the water. It was like a spiritual thing. And, we had a song, Working for the Wind that it was like and then, Farner heard it and said, man, we should maybe do this as Working for the Winter, because he was doing spiritual songs. So Mark and I got really close, and I could see the way he was after the shows we did, and the people that would come in. He would always meet with the fans after the show. They would come in the dressing room, or they would have a meet and greet. And, I would just sit there. I mean, they didn't want to talk to us, so I would just sit there in the room, and I would see the way he was with all these fans. Everybody, oh my God, Mark Farner. Oh my God, Mark Farner. I'm like, this is, and the way he was with everybody, signing autographs and giving hugs, and, just the way he was as a person. I said, wow, really? He's a big star like this, and he's one of the greatest bands of all time, and he's this nice, he's this good to his fans. Him and I today we're always in touch. We're still dear friends. I got some ideas with Mark Farner too that we're going to be pulling off here with the new thing that we got going on the music side. But, Mark Farner, that was like the break we all needed to get with Mark. And after doing that for a couple of years, I had Jimmy Romeo came up to me and said, Brian, I met a guy, he's 19 years old, and he sings his ass off. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And he says, we heard he's Mark's son. And I was like, Mark Farner has a son? And he said, yeah, his name is Joey Bowen. And I was like, you haven't told this to anybody, have you? He said, no. I said, please don't say that. So we talked to Mark, and at the time, Mark didn't know that it was his kid. And he said, yeah, I know Joey, but he's my cousin's kid. And we were like, okay. And he said, I know who he is. So long story short is we finally told Mark, he said, listen, we're going to put the band back together again, and we're going to have Joey as the singer. And Doug Cahan is our bass player. So he was like, hey, you guys got to do what you got to do. You're still young. So I know that you had a dream, and, it's a beautiful thing. So we hugged and we did our thing with him. And then we started rehearsing with Joey and Doug. And, we were called Adrenalin for the first few shows. We did one big one at the Hart Plaza. And it was the new Adrenalin. And it was just, the response was incredible. And we got with Joey and Doug, and we started writing new songs. And, I just said to the guys too, I said, this is not Adrenalin.
Mm-hmm.
This is, we did Adrenalin. We went through all that with Adrenalin. This is a different band. And we were trying to come up with a name. And really, it kind of stemmed from the MC5.
Mm-hmm.
We said, I like MC is Motor City 5.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it would be cool to be DC Drive, Detroit City Drive, cars. Okay, that's it. We're now DC Drive. Let's go.
Poncho?
That's amazing.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely freaking brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
It was, and then we started doing the DC Drive and the radio. We did some recording, and Vinny Poncia, again, that's when I met Barney Ailes. And Rosalie Trombley were starting a new record label called AEM Records. So Barney and Rosalie came to see us, and they fell in love with the band. And I'm like, Rosalie Trombley, this is unbelievable. I heard so much about you over the years. This is incredible. She said, well, thank you, Brian. My son is the head of A&R at Capitol Records in Canada. And we want to talk to you about doing a deal with us on the American side with AEM Records. And we'll talk with Tim. And I was like, oh, my God. So we put together our demos, and we signed a deal with Barney Ailes and Rosalie for the new label. And then Tim fell in love with the band and brought us up to Toronto. We met the record label there, and they said, let's get some new songs together here, and let's do a DC Drive record. Let's, get this all in order. And so we had cut some demos, and by now, Jimmy Romeo and my brother Mark had become really great at engineering and producing. And when we got our deals with MCA and we did all that stuff, it was like we'd get $200,000 to make a record.
Mm-hmm.
So that would cover all the costs, travel, our producer, everything. So twice we did big label deals.
Mm-hmm.
And when they said that Capitol wanted to sign us, we said, here's the difference. We got to have our own studio. So instead of taking the $200,000 and going to New York and going to the Boogie Hotel and going to LA and paying for all the expenses, why don't we just buy our own studio equipment and have our own studio? And we called Vinny Poncia. He said, Vinny, we got the band back together. We're doing DC Drive. We got a budget, and you're going to be our producer, no question. But we don't want to spend $250,000 on recording anymore. What are you going to do? We're going to buy the equipment with the budget, but you got to be in support of that. If you're not, we can't do it. You have to say, listen, he said, Brian, Jimmy's great. Mark is great. Let's do this. But don't do it under the name of DC Drive Studio. Have a different name so they think they're booking the time with a studio in Detroit. I said, well, PR Music is what we do as our publishing or whatever. Pastoria Romeo Music, PR Music. Let's record the new album at PR Music in Detroit. So we told the record label, we're recording our music at PR Music in Detroit. Send them money to PR Music. So the budget went to the PR Music, and we started the record, and we recorded the record at our place in Detroit over there on Brush and Macomb Street in an old building. We recorded You Need Love. We did all the songs. And then we got Ben Gross to mix it. And
the video.
And the video, again, the Motown thing. The video thing with Pops. That was the whole thing. Like, we went to the record label and we said, okay, here's the song You Need Love. Okay, we got to do a video for you for MTV. I said, okay. And they said, well, You Need Love. So you're going to have the girls in the video and do that. I said, no, we're not that. They said, well, you got to do the, with the lyric and the song, is that's got to be the video. And I said, no, our singer's a dancer. Maurice King, Mr. King, is a dear friend of mine. He introduced me to Charlie Atkins. We've been working with Charlie's been using our studio for the OJs and the Spinners and doing all this great stuff in the studio with them. And I've become friends with him. And Joey Bowen is a great dancer. So at the time, it was in the 90s, and it was all the garage rock shit. and Nirvana and the whole thing in Seattle was happening. The grunge music and it's like, listen, we're nothing close to what those guys are.
No,
we are about rock and soul. So we can't do a video and try to compete with Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots. It ain't going to happen because we're not fans. Let's do a band and feature our singer, Joey, dancing. Well, how are you going to do that? I said, well, the greatest choreography on the planet Earth choreographer is Charlie Pops Atkins. He did all the Motown stuff. He did Michael Jackson. He did Jackie Wilson. He was with, everybody. Back in the day, he was with the greatest Sammy Davis Jr. So they said, well, who's Charlie Atkins? I said, exactly. Who's Charlie Atkins, the greatest choreographer on the planet Earth, and nobody knows who he is. So let's put him in our video. Let's do a video where he sees Joey dancing his moves with a rock band on stage, and he's freaking out, and he gets into it and sees and they said, okay, let's just check it out. So I called Charlie and Mr. King, and I said, we want to do this. We want to feature you, Charlie. Let's do this. And he said, Brian, I would be honored to do that.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my God, let's do this.
Here's what we got for you fine folks here today. Here's what we got for you. For those of you who just joined us on the Poncho and Cisco Live in the Afternoon show, we're hanging out with legendary drummer, artist, producer. Also, he makes a mean sauce. Brian Pastoria with us on the big program today. Here it is, folks.
My son's laughing. Anton.
I had to chop this down because I get a limit. I can do 5. It has to be less than 5 minutes. So I had to chop the video up a little bit, but I got everything that's important. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, DC Drive. You need love.
I do, don't you? I've been doing everything, baby, can't you see? Is this the way love's supposed to be? When you walked up to me, baby, gave me the sign. I know, baby, what's on your mind? You need love like I do, don't you? You need love like I do, don't you? You need love like I do, don't you? Like I do, don't you?
How's that for video music fans?
Wow.
That fucking song rocks.
Still, it stands the test of time. Always.
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
I bet
it certainly does.
even some of the local bands now are covering that song before all this Corona crap.
Yeah, but you know what though? I've seen a couple of them, and I hate to be a critic, but they sucked.
It's not bad. Stop.
No, listen, it's not good either. It's not that. It's not what we just saw.
Oh, I know. Of course, it's never going to be.
Right? Okay, well, fine. That's why we don't cover it.
Right.
Because we're not going to do that kind of disservice.
Because we suck.
There it is, folks. Steve Drive. You need love like I do, don't you? Joey's a good friend of ours. He does all our Rock for Tots events with us and everything. We love him. We got to get him on the show.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joey's great. He went through a lot, and Mark did not know he was his son until a few years ago when they did the testing, and the band was over by that time, but Joey was doing his own thing, and Mark agreed after Joey approached him again and got into it because it affected Joey too.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
It's not knowing and being the son of such an incredible human being, and Mark was so cool to do it. And when he found out that Joey was his son, everything changed.
I was at a club in Detroit for one of Joey's CD release parties, and it was the first time. Yeah, Farner was there, and he actually brought him up on stage. Yeah. And I'll tell you, at the very end of the night, guess what tune they did?
Oh,
Some Kind of Wonderful. And I know somebody had to have videotaped that, but it was just incredible.
If it's out there, I'll find it. I'll find it. That's what I do.
The thing about Some Kind of Wonderful, I have to bring this up.
Yeah.
I didn't realize till I met Mark where that song came from. It was a band from Ann Arbor called the Soul Brothers 6. And Grand Funk redid the song and turned it into a monster hit. And, when I told Mark, I said, Mark, did you write that song? He said, no, Brian. It was a band called Soul Brothers 6 from Ann Arbor, and we redid it.
And actually, Cisco loves the radio station. We listen to 580 Memories.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Keener 13. They actually play that version.
They do.
Some Kind of Wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, AM 580 radio, folks. The first thing I do every day that I get up, first thing I do, hit my JBL Bluetooth, AM 580 radio on, get into the day.
They play the most amazing shit you've ever heard.
Amazing. But yeah, they do. They play the original version of that.
Yeah. A lot of original versions of songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great stuff. I mean,
I get a lot of musical education from that radio station.
But they do cover songs of Gordon Lightfoot with Gordon Lightfoot covering his own songs.
Wow. There you go.
Here's something. This I'm going to get a little off track here, if you don't mind. You got time to hang out with us a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think it was yesterday or the day before. That was yesterday. And they played Neil Diamond playing the song that he wrote, I'm a Believer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if you folks have ever heard the original song of I'm a Believer. Most of the people.
It was done by Smash Mouth.
And people don't know that Neil Diamond actually wrote the song. Everybody's familiar with the Monkees version. So when you hear the Neil Diamond version of they're like, why is Neil? People will say, why is Neil Diamond covering the Monkees?
Right.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
So we're gonna move forward a little bit. You guys opened up Harmony Park Studio and the U Detroit Cafe. How did that all come together?
Well, once we had the studio thing going, and then when DC Drive, Joey decided he wanted to get into a different kind of music and wanted to go his own way, and You Need Love was taking off like crazy. And, by that point, I had enough of what was going on with the band thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 35 years old, and, I had met my now wife, Sue, and all my friends had gotten married, started families, and I was going to my friend's house, hanging out with them and their kids. And, I loved it. And, I always wanted a family, but I just never had the right girl to start a family. And I was with the band thing, it was always difficult dealing with most women. They didn't like the whole rock and roll thing.
No more bringing groupies home.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And when I met Sue, it had nothing to do with any of that at all. She just loved the music and loved what we were doing. And, we were just great friends. And, and when the band thing ended, her and I had gotten engaged. And, I'm like, I can't get married and go through this and put somebody else through all this that we've gone through. I mean, for me going through it with my brothers and my friends, it's one thing, but Mark and I, we had the studio with Jimmy and Mark, and, we said, I knew some of the advertising people in the business that were doing commercial work. And, I said, Mark, why don't we just take a break from this band thing, Mark and Jimmy, and let's do a studio. And I know none of the musician friends that we have any money, so we're not going to be able to make money in a recording studio going to our friends who have bands.
Right.
We're all broke.
You're financing the whole thing yourself.
It's never going to happen. So the only way we're going to be able to do this is if we do commercials. So working and knowing a lot of the advertising creative people that I'd gotten to be friends with, I just started getting with them and saying, hey, if you guys need music, you don't have to have just a jingle. You can have a 30-second, 60-second song, and we can write the songs, and we can get, great people to be involved in. Sure. So we started doing that for Gary Topolewski and Jim Gentry and, a number of other creative directors around town that were, serious people. And we just started doing that. And that became, a real business for us, was doing the commercials. And then when my friends like Stuart Frankie, or when, people that we were friends with, they would say, hey, Brian, I need the studio. Great. Why don't you come in at 10 o'clock at night and use it till the morning if you need to. And at the end of the night, just pay the engineer. Let's do that. And they were like, oh man, this is great. Well, it couldn't be any better than that. So we did that at our old studio on McColeman Brush near Greektown there. And then I saw the building in Harmony Park, and there was nothing happening in Harmony Park at the time. But it was a nice building. And, we thought, wow, this could be very cool. And my dear friend, Nick Capone, who I grew up with and knew the Romeos, and Bruce Schaefer, went to St. Veronica's with us. He was running my stepfather's golf course, was called Wolverine Golf Club, over on 26 Mile and Romeo Plank. So when my stepfather got into that business, he wanted like the best guy to run that place. And So he, when I told him about Nick started working for him, and Nick and I, like I said, we've been close since he was my first friend in first grade. So Nick started doing that, and then my father passed away, shortly after the whole the other studio thing was going, and I ran into Nino Cotrero, and he owned a couple restaurants, and he said, I want to buy this building in Harmony Park, but I need somebody to run the restaurant. And I said, well,
I make a great sauce.
I make a great sauce. Right? I said, Nick Capone would be your best partner, man. I mean, nobody could run the kitchen and run the business better than him. And you're great at greeting and doing your thing in the business and all that. But so Nick got in over there. Then I saw the building over next to it. Then we said, you know what? Maybe it'd be great if we got that building and move our studio over there and put it on the third floor. And we'll rent the first floor out to a restaurant, which we did with a couple of restaurant operators. We had the Hunter House there when we first opened too. And my sister Andrea, actually, she was the first one to come in, and she had a coffee shop there. So we did that for a while and had our studio on the third floor and offices on the second floor. And we started working with all these great artists. And Mark Farner, we did his solo album, at the studio. And, then, got to meet Dave Mason. And we did 26 Letters and 12 Notes with Dave Mason. We met Aretha Franklin, was a dear friend, and we got to work with Aretha. And my brother ended up winning a couple of Grammys working with Aretha. And we were very close with her. She really loved working with us, and we loved her, had the utmost respect for her as not only a singer, but as a musician and an artist, really. She was just incredible. Most people don't realize what a great music person she was, and working with musicians and, all that stuff. I mean, the whole thing of when she did Respect, I remember hearing the story from Jerry Wexler, because Jerry loved our band Adrenalin, and he was at Warner Brothers, and he was Atlantic Records, and he wanted to, potentially do a deal with us. And, he told me the story about Respect, and he said, we were doing these things with Aretha. I said, why didn't Aretha sign with Motown? I mean, she's from Detroit. They had Diana Ross, all these great artists. How did she end up with you at Atlantic and going to Memphis? Like, what was the deal? And he said, Brian, Barry wouldn't let her get involved in the music. He just wanted her to sing.
Oh, wow.
And Reverend Franklin knew Barry. Knew what was going on over there. And when Aretha said, they're not giving me any freedom to do the music that I want to do. And Jerry said, when she came to Jerry Wexler and Ahmet Ertegun, they were like, she's like, I just want to be involved in the production, in the music, and working with the musicians. And they said, no problem. No problem. We'll let you do that in a heartbeat. And then Jerry said, I played her Respect. And as soon as she heard the song, she said, who wrote that? She said, well, that's Otis Redding. He already released it. She said, I love that song, but you got to call Otis and tell him I want to add a part. And he was like, well, what do you want to add? She said, I got this thing. And she sang him the RESPECT to find out what it means to me. I want to add that to the song.
Take it as TCB. Yeah.
Exactly. So Jerry said, okay, he called Otis Redding and said, Aretha wants to do the song, but she wants to add this part. And Otis said, go for it.
Nice.
So they went in the studio, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to spend some time with Ralph Armstrong. Came in with my buddy Josh, and we did some stuff for a friend of mine. And he was telling me about her and how incredible she was as far as working with and everything. And a lot of people don't know that. You read the news stories, and again, screw the news.
Screw the. You know what? Screw the news on all that stuff, man.
It's all bullshit.
They had no. You know what? They didn't give her the respect that she deserves. Because when I would work with her at the studio, sometimes the musicians too. Sometimes the musicians, when we would be doing a thing, and Aretha would go, listen, on the guitar, don't do that. do it like this and play it like this, and don't do the minor, do the major, do the. And then we would go get coffee, and the guy would come up to you and he'd say, "Man, she's really." You know, I mean,
no, that's the thing is she knew what she wanted. She knew
exactly. And I said, why do you call her that?
Right.
Would you say that if a guy was telling you to play something different? Would you say that? Would you call the guy a bastard for the producer telling you what to do? She knows what she's doing. And listen, do what she says and do what she wants and make it the best you can be. And then maybe you'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty fucking simple, folks.
Hello. She was talking about when we did. Here's what happened when we got with Aretha. We were working with Michael Powell because Michael became a good friend, and Michael produced Anita Baker, and Michael was in a group himself, and he loved our studio and he loved working with us. And when Aretha said, "I'm tired of working with these other people, man, you know, can we get together and do this?" And Michael said, "Yeah, let's go." And she said, "Well, who's going to engineer?" And he said, "Well, what about Mark Pastoria?" Well, who's Mark Pastoria? And he told her. And she was like, okay, let's start putting something together here. So then a couple weeks went by, and it was the winter time, and it was snowing, and it was really tough outside. And she said, what's the possibility of recording at my house? I don't like driving in this weather. This is crazy. If you can figure out a way to bring all this new kind of equipment that's in the studios to my house and record, that would be great. So Michael calls me up and he said, Brian, Aretha wants to move forward on these songs. And one of them was the song that we did for the it was for the Luther Vandross tribute record, A House Is Not a Home, written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. So she says, we're going to record this House Is Not a Home, but I don't want to do it at the studio. Mike says, Brian, is there any way that we can bring the Pro Tools to Aretha's house and record her vocals? And I went, yeah, sure. And I didn't have any idea how we were going to do it, but I'm like, yeah, sure. Aretha wants it, man, no problem. So I went in and I went and told him, I walked in my brother's room, the room where he was working. And I said, Mark, Aretha wants to do this recording, but she wants to do it at her house. Can we like take the computer and the Pro Tools and the smaller board maybe? And, you know, he says, oh yeah, we can do that. So I told Michael Powell, I said, yeah, I told you we could do it. Well, we can. When do you want to do it? A couple of days later, we were at her house.
Wow.
And we recorded House Is Not a Home. Burt Bacharach was there.
Wow.
And Mark and Burt got to work together, and they ended up winning a Grammy Award for that song for best vocal performance done at her house.
Amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing.
It was unbelievable. And then we really got with Aretha, and she loved, you know, we would just hang with her and she would tell stories. And the great thing was when we would record, we'd start at around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we'd go into the evening. So what are we doing for dinner? Aretha says, I'm going to make chili. Are you into it? And I'm like, chili from Aretha Franklin?
Wow.
Let's go.
You better have taken over some sauce and balls and stuff.
Yes.
You better have.
Man.
That's what I would have been doing the next day. I'm like, you made me chili, I can bring you some of the family sauce. You know?
Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do that. I wish I would have.
I have such a great respect and admiration for Mark. He's like you, an incredible individual, very, very, very super talented. The first time I came down there to the Harmony Park Studios, I forget what it was for. I think I might have just been down there fucking off, and I decided to pop in. And you guys were both there, and you gave me the tour of the joint. And went up, and I forget what you're working on, and it was a really cool place. And you were just getting started and starting to do doing the broadcast with Bob Bauer.
Oh yeah.
And then I remember I was like, wow, this freaking place is cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back down, and man, sometimes my memory doesn't serve me correctly, but somebody I know was playing there, and I ended up sitting in and I played a couple of tunes, and it was really awesome. And then Motor City Josh came down and played and did that. And then one of the coolest things. For those of you folks who don't know, the U Detroit Cafe, awesome place, just a great vibe, great soul, great everything. And they would do these great. It'll be the freaking middle of the day, sometimes 10 o'clock in the fucking morning. They got bands coming in there to play and stuff, right?
Mm.
But one of the coolest things that I've ever seen ever in all of music and all the stuff that I've ever listened to and watched is you guys had Rival Sons in there before they broke, and you captured a performance of a song called "Save Your Soul."
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube.
And it is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life, ever. You want to talk about everything that's good production, vibe, soul, blah, blah, blah. It's all right there. And when I saw that, Mark was elevated to hero status with me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mark is incredible. He's an amazing producer, engineer, songwriter.
Yeah.
You know, he really is. He's so great at what he does. And
he's not a dick. He's not a dick.
Right. Exactly. And you know, to be an engineer and a producer and be a musician,
right?
That's a whole nother thing. That's why Dave Mason, Mark Farner, LL Cool J, P. Diddy, Aretha, all these people that we worked with over the years, the reason why they liked working with him so much is because he didn't just be a technology guy. He was a musician first and foremost, and he brought that world into the technology.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. It certainly helps a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the times I went down to Harmony Park, we brought some musicians with us to visit the studio, and they wanted to use the studio to record one track. And, well, for one, I wonder how the hell you got a grand piano up to the third floor. That was amazing. But the Black Crowes came in and grabbed a session along with Eddie Harsh when Eddie Harsh was alive. And it was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. Eddie was playing the grand piano, and we actually got to watch them record this session with the Black Crowes, Chris and Rich Robinson, back when they weren't beating each other up. But just an incredible studio, and getting to watch the Black Crowes and our own friend Eddie Harsh from right here in the Motor City was just something incredible to watch.
That was a special time, and Eddie was such a great cat, man. He was really one of the great piano players, man. He was legendary. He really was. And I mean, that's what really helped the Black Crowes do that whole thing that they were doing. You know, without the Faces and the Stones, you know, the piano in those songs is critical.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Eddie was just great, man. I was just so crushed when he passed away.
Yeah.
But he was just a great guy and a great talent. And, you know, the Black Crowes, it was great. You know, that whole thing we did at U Detroit, you know, it started when I was in the advertising world. I met my now partner, Bijan Maradi, in 360 Access. I met him 20 years ago. So in 1999, when we were getting all our stuff together, I met Bijan, and the thing was that I met him through Congressman John Conyers.
Oh,
and
really?
When I was doing advertising work for people, I was telling my car dealer guy, I said, you know, you should put a MySpace page up. And when we do your commercials, we'll just put your commercials on the MySpace page. And we should do, you know, and this is what Bijan was telling me that I should do with my clients. He said, Brian, you should put them on the MySpace page. It doesn't cost you anything. You're doing the video for the commercial. Why don't you just put it on MySpace? You don't have to buy time like a TV ad. I said, oh, okay, interesting. So we put the video on MySpace. Next thing you know, the guy was selling cars from people seeing his ad on MySpace. And the owner, he thought I was crazy at first when he saw me doing it. And then he said, Brian, we just sold 3 cars because of the ad was on MySpace, and people saw it, and they came in and they said they saw it. And I'm like,
on the internet?
I called Bijan. I said, Bijan, this is unbelievable. And he said, Brian, yeah, you know what you should do too is when they come in, you should have them, when they take a test ride or whatever, give them a card that has free downloads on it. I'm like, what? He said, yeah. And when they come and get an oil change, they can get a card with free down. And they said, the owner of the dealership was like, what does that have to do with anything? So the people started coming in and they would get the car, they would give it to their kids, they'd get the downloads, the kids would freak out. And this is before all, Napster and all that.
Right.
So
Napster bad.
Yeah. So, all that started coming together, and Bijan, years go by and we're doing all this technology stuff, and I'm seeing what's happening in the technology world.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 years ago, in 2009,
right,
he says, why don't you guys take your first floor, instead of renting it out, do broadcasting from there?
That was way ahead of its time.
Yeah, you got friends that are the disc jockeys, and why don't you just bring in your friends to do shows, and we'll have the cameras on, and Mark can do the mixing and the sound and make it sound great, and it'll look good with the cam. He was telling me, I thought it was like, this is crazy. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, nobody's going to watch. No.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened, because how do you make money with sponsored?
Right.
And every time we would go to the sponsors in the advertising world, they would say, who watches the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's watching the internet. Everybody's working. Who's watching the internet? And I said, well, we're taping it. They can watch it afterwards, but it was hard to get the sponsors to put money into it.
Right.
Because people weren't really like it is today. So that's what got us all going, was working with Bijan on all that stuff. And that has led to what we're doing now with 360 Access, Connect Us. Now we got a record deal with Universal Music. So we have an independent label deal now. So our 360 Access Records is going to be working with artists. And we got the social media marketing, all the stuff that we're doing with the marketing side and social media marketing.
Right.
A new channel with Connects Us. We're going to be doing this whole thing with, broadcasting live, Connects Us live, and broadcasting, doing what we're doing now, these shows in the virtual world, and bringing sponsors to be partners in the whole thing. And the whole thing is sponsor driven. And that's where music is really going into a whole new world with that. And thank God for what Bijan and Tom Bagwell and Zane Giles, Denny Deontay, Brewmaster, all these people we're working with are all great music and entertainment people and marketing and promotion people. And to have a record label with the universal distribution and the marketing that we have in the social media world and the music people that we have involved to make the records and find the new artists, I think we've got a whole new thing ready to happen here and ready to explode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very excited. It's like come full circle. I came from playing in the band and then doing the whole thing in the studio and the production, and now on the marketing side, it's like, again, no matter how great it is that you're doing in the studio, at the end of the day, it's all about marketing. And today, the social media world is where it's at.
And you also got you're bringing it down to the part of your family. Your sons are in the business also now with Anton. Is he still there?
Anton.
Have we kept him through this whole broadcast? We haven't bored him to death.
He was doing a mix, but he's going to come over here now and
show yourself.
Come on,
show yourself.
Does he make a good sauce?
Oh, I'm sure he's not going to do that.
Here we got to go on this side.
Hold on, I'll bring him in. We'll put
there he is.
There we go.
Just like that.
What's up, Anton?
What's going on? How we doing?
Good. So what are you working on now?
Oh, I'm working with a whole bunch of local artists right now. I got actually this Jamaican female artist. She's a singer that I met through working at Get Fresh Studio. I'm working with right now, so I'm working on some of her mixes. And then what's
her name?
Faya. Her name is Faya. Fyiah.
Remember that, Cisco?
Yeah.
I'm on it.
She's great. She's great. She's definitely on the come up. She's a local artist here in Detroit, and she does a lot of good networking, and her music's definitely on the come up. So definitely check those songs out in the future. I'll be on the mixing and the engineering part.
So Anton, let me ask you a question, if I could, please.
Yeah. What's up?
Of course, you're in a very musical family. When was your first? What's your first recollection, and when you got the itch, so to speak?
Well, I just always remember being in the studio with my dad, like coming in on like what are the bring your kids to work day or something like that, and we would always go in on like the weekends and stuff like that. So I was always around it. I never really thought about it until when I was like 16, when I asked them for a FL Studio and a laptop. We started making beats on for my friends actually that were artists or trying to be artists, aspiring artists. And that kind of got me into it when I got that for Christmas. And then from there, I just started engineering at 19 because my beats were good, but they could sound better. So then I started to do that and fell in love with the mixing and mastering part of music. So
what? You're like 19 and a half now, right?
Yeah, no, I'm actually 22 now. I'm turning 23 in July. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I remember I was over there last summer and stuff in the basement where you're broadcasting from right now, and you were over your own little computer in the corner, and I had asked it like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm making some beats," and I got to tell you, they were incredible then. I could just imagine how far you've come since then.
Oh yeah, definitely have gotten a lot better, and the mixing is amazing now too. I've definitely grown a lot in the last few years for sure.
Now, I'm pretty sure because of your wonderful father, you've met some incredible people along the way, celebrity-wise. Who have you met over the years and stuff that you can remember?
Man, the biggest one really is Aretha Franklin, I think. But man, there was so many.
Stevie.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder we met. But I was like super young at the time. But just like I remember hanging out with like Dave Mason, and he came over and chilled in our family room and like did his laundry and stuff and had the tour bus. So like that was a super cool experience. But yeah, there was a whole bunch of it was definitely pretty cool. He had the whole band with him. So, but yeah, there was plenty of artists that I've met and I have been working with now. Like I actually had the chance to work with T Grizzly, who's a Detroit rapper. I had the chance to record and mix one of his records, or a feature actually. So that was really cool. So yeah, I'm doing my own thing too. And yeah, my dad always had that extra of famous people around and shit like that. So it's cool.
Anton, do you play too? Do you play instruments or no?
Yeah, I play the piano. I know how to play the piano very well. I actually took lessons for like 3 years or something like that.
He didn't force the drums on you?
No. My dad was always cool with whatever we wanted to do. He was always cool with. So I mean, we had the piano. I got into the piano. The lessons, like my dad was saying, were just like all over the place. I didn't really like the whole process of going step by step on learning the piano. I just wanted to play the piano like how he was saying. So I lasted about 3 years, and then we got out of that, and then I started making beats, and it clicked back in again. And now it's going well. I actually got the piano behind me over here with right over.
Anton, I'm not one to give unsolicited advice, but I'm going to at this time. Never play the piano with drumsticks.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't recommend that. That would be that'd be a mess.
I got in a lot of trouble for that, probably because of the piano.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome. Maybe we could get. I want to get this. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the stream afterwards because I want to. The girl that you're working with. These are people that we'd like to talk with.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
We'd like to get on the show. We'd like to. We like to expose them so that we don't have to expose ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I work with so many great artists. Every night I'm in the studio 10 p.m. till about 5 in the morning. And then on Tuesdays, I'm in 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I'm always in the studio. I'm always booking my own clients. People are always hitting me up on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Anton the Producer. So, I mean, definitely I'm working with a lot of artists. So if you guys need recommendations for aspiring artists in the city, definitely.
Well, we definitely would love to chat with you a little bit after the show and get turned on to some of this stuff so that we can share it with our most intelligent viewing audience.
Most definitely we can do that for sure.
They're really smart.
Yeah, they're the smartest people in the world.
It looks like you got one proud papa sitting next to you.
Very proud.
I'm looking at the poster right behind you, the Eminem poster behind you.
Oh yeah.
And I am a huge Eminem fan. I'm huge.
Mhm.
My first recollection of Eminem before he became Eminem is I ran a bar here in St. Clair Shores, and we used to go to Gilbert's often for lunch. And here's this crazy little kid running around, just piping off. He's just bingo bango, piping off lyrics and shit. And one of his coworkers busted him out about it. They were like, "Shut up," blah blah blah. And I was like, "What the fuck?" I thought it was kind of cool. And like I said, I had no idea who this guy was or whatever. It was just a kid, man. The guy's a kid.
Marshall, shut up.
And I remember telling him, I'm like, "Hey, fuck her, man. Don't worry about that. You just do what you do." And he's like, "Yeah, thanks, man." And then, some years later, all of a sudden, he's the biggest freaking artist on the planet.
Man.
And I remembered that day, like I remember it like it was yesterday. And I watched some of the stuff and the videos and, him hooking up with Dre and everything. And it's absolutely incredible, just incredible stuff. And like I say, I'm a giant fan. I'm not a rap fan in general. I'm more rock and roll and blues and soul and, stuff like that. But son of a bitch, I'm an Eminem fan through and through, man.
Yeah, that one's actually signed by Eminem, and it says Slim Shady. It doesn't say Eminem. So that's
oh, come on.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool piece of memorabilia right there.
You know what that is? You know what that is, guys? When Eminem first started, see, I knew Joel Martin, who worked with Eminem, and the Bass Brothers, and we had done some work with them over the years. And my brother's brother-in-law, John Vitale, was working with the Bass Brothers. And guy at one of the radio stations says, "Hey, we want to bring in this guy. He just got a deal, and his name is Marshall Mathers. And he's now going by Eminem." And I go, "Marshall Mathers, is he working with the Bass Brothers or something?" And they said, "Yeah, that's the same guy. He's now going by Eminem." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." He says, "We want to do a promotion here and invite a bunch of radio listeners to come in and have him do his new song called My Name Is." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's do it." I had no idea. And, I'm like, "Okay, this guy he's from Detroit." They go, "Yeah, he's from Warren. He went to Warren High, and he lived a couple miles from where we live now." And it's like, he's from Warren? Oh my God. So then Marshall came to the studio and he did the show, and there was like 20 people in the room. He did My Name Is and a couple other things, and he just did it, and he was really nice. And when we were standing in the hallway, there was one song on there that was real controversial about his girlfriend. Yeah.
Right.
The girl in the trunk of the car. And, they were making a big deal out of that. And him and I were in the hallway, and he goes, "Brian, this is so crazy. They take all these songs so seriously."
Yeah.
Like, I was just trying to have some fun with these lyrics and have some fun with it. And now it's like blowing up like crazy. And I could see that he was realizing that the way he was doing it was the reason why he was exploding.
Yeah.
Right.
He was. And he was realizing wow, this ain't a joke. This is like you coming up with these crazy ideas is what's making this whole thing happen. And that's what, it just blew up after that. I mean, months.
That guy changed the game. He changed the game for everybody.
Yeah, he did.
Just incredible. And you have to, you got to listen. Some of the stuff you have to listen to 3, 4, 5, 6 times to get his lyrical composition.
Genius.
Is unlike anything ever. He's a wordsmith beyond wordsmiths.
Yeah, I remember listening to him in high school actually, and I would not pay attention in class. I would just have my headphones in and just listen to the all of his songs. And there's an app called Genius, or a website called Genius, that has all of the lyrics posted on every song that you can think of. All these songs. And I just remember being in class and reading albums of lyrics, and I was just like, man, this is insane what he is talking about, and it's way deeper than then you can imagine. It's pretty wild how he does.
You know, it would be, there's two things. There's a couple of things in music that I would love to do. One of them is to get in 5150 studio and just start plucking through tapes that are sitting up there on the wall. And the other one is to be able to look through his notebooks. He's got notebooks full of lyrics. I mean, stuff that nobody's ever heard before. But could you imagine some of the stuff you'd see in there?
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
You guys could make that happen. Let's get him on the show.
Yeah.
Anton, man, thanks for coming on with us. We're gonna get with you after we're done here, and you can turn us on to some of this new stuff because we're kind of old guys.
Yeah, most definitely.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I work with a lot of like R&B singers and rappers. So if you guys are looking for new artists in that genre or nature, I can definitely link you up with them, and you can get in contact and see what they got going.
Well, that's what the show's all about and stuff.
Yeah.
Not only to put smiles on the faces, but to definitely put a spotlight on the talent and the history of hometown rock and roll here.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's the great thing. What you guys are doing really is, it's not just the songs. It's people want to hear the stories.
Yeah,
they want to hear what's going on behind the songs. The behind the scenes, and that's why I think what you guys are doing with your show and getting into this is really, really great.
That's the most interesting thing about it. I mean, like today, you kind of schooled me up here a little bit today, and I thank you so much for it, because there's a lot of things that I didn't know that I know now. And if we can keep doing stuff like that, hell, we didn't even want to do this in the first place. We were just kind of we're like, screw it, let's do something.
Yeah, we got to do something during this quarantine crap.
Yeah. My pal got unceremoniously released from his day job. So, but yeah, Anton, thanks for coming out with us today.
Thank you.
And we're gonna bring this back in. If you guys want to squeeze together, you can. For those of you folks
apart
for those of you folks who just joined us, we've been hanging out most of the afternoon with our good friend Brian Pastoria and recently his son Anton, talking all things Detroit, all things music here on the Poncho and Cisco Live in the
Motown.
So Brian, I don't know if you ever saw this or not, okay? But I did an original song, and we went out, Josh and I went out and we filmed a video for the song. And part of the video footage is actually from the U Detroit Cafe.
Wow.
So I'm gonna bring this up. I want to play this for you. I wish I could. There's no way I can fast forward through it, so I got to play the whole freaking video. But we did.
Just to let you know, Cisco, he's a fan of the Chit selfie video.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So we did this song. We produced the song and the video for $12 and a chili dog. And here it is. So check it out, folks. This is Faux Pas Dream featuring footage from Harmony Park / the U Detroit Cafe.
I had a dream last night I killed my wife. It was a tragic shame I took her life with a butter knife. With a butter knife. I had a dream last night I burned my house. A book of matches and a picture of my spouse. I burned my house. I burned my house down. When will I find what makes me whole?
$12 and a chili dog and stolen footage from the Detroit Cafe, folks.
That's awesome. You know where that Detroit sign came from?
No.
Jimmy Kimmel.
No, you're kidding.
Yeah, when he was here for the Super Bowl in 2006, I think it was 2006. Yeah, it was 40-year anniversary.
Because Lions weren't in it.
Right. And they chose our place as their office for the week we were here for the Super Bowl. And they had that sign made and put in our office when they were here.
Huh.
So they could use it as a background for Jimmy when he was on the air. And when they were done with the show at the end of the week, they said, "Hey, what are we going to do with this sign?" I said, "Leave it here."
Yeah, keep it.
They were okay, cool. You can have it.
Jimmy can afford it. Go ahead, keep it.
Well, I thought it was so awesome. I love the vibe of the place. The vibe there was so cool. And that's actually, I had met Bob Bauer years before when he was doing the food drives out of the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just in passing and stuff, but I never really got a chance to sit down and talk to him and kind of get to know him until I came to you, Detroit. And he was one of the most incredible, humble, nicest guys and very knowledgeable about music and just a cool guy to hang out with. And I'm very thankful that I got a chance to do it. I guess I have to thank you for that. Thank you.
I was working at a station in Ohio, and he was at a sister station in St. Mary's, Ohio at the same time. And then I stayed there. He moved back to Detroit and stuff to start his eminent crunch on Detroit radio, which was so great.
You know, Bob
he was amazing.
When I first met Bob was at the Guitar Army.
Yeah.
I knew Bob from the radio, but I didn't really know him as a person.
Right.
And when we did Guitar Army, and he was so much into the vets thing, and really into it big time, and I really saw his passion for that. And you know, when he was doing things for the people in the city, and our band was always doing stuff with Mother Waddles and things like that over the years. So we've always done charitable stuff, with Mitch album and the Christmas records we did,
which are fantastic.
Thank you. But the Christmas in Detroit albums were always with Mitch, and they were always for a cause, and the money was all for the charities and things like that. And Bob was just, getting to know him and be with him every day. I feel so thankful for that now. After he went through what he went through, but just to be with him every day and going through these shows, I'll never forget when we were doing the show. And I was talking to Farner, and he was doing a show here. And I was talking to Dave Mason, and he was doing a show here. And Dave says, "Well, I'm with Rick Derringer." And I said, "Well, we got this show, and Bob Bauer's doing the show every day. How cool would it be if you guys stop by?" They came by with Johnny Sambatera, Rick Derringer, Mark Farner, Dave Mason, and hung out for 3 hours, and were on Bob Bauer's show, and they each did their own sets, and then they all got together and did Feeling All Right.
Wow.
Like, if someone would have told me in high school that was going to happen, at a place that we had with those three artists, it's like Rick Derringer, Dave Mason, and Mark Farner. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Doing acoustic?
Wow.
That's once in a lifetime.
It's on YouTube too, if you want to check it out. It's really cool.
I got so lucky because the one thing that Bob and I have in common is we're both U.S. Navy sailors. So we hit it off. We hit it off right off the bat. From there it was really cool. And it was only like 3-4 hours that I got to hang out with them, but it was one of the coolest 3-4 hours that I've had. And it was, I can't say that, hey, Bob Bauer's my pal. I had him on speed dial. But I got a chance to spend some quality time with him and got to know him a little bit. And we got to chat. And it's one of the things that I hold dear. And again, thank you and Mark for that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for you and Mark, that would have never happened. And I appreciate it.
I totally miss that unmistakable voice.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. What a voice. What a voice. What a great guy.
It's like it's like a thumbprint. You knew when that voice started, you knew that was Bob.
So I got to tell you guys both something. I tried to weasel Mark onto the show. I tried to mess him. I was going to try and get Mark on with us too, because that would make for great stories. I would hope that maybe we could get both you guys back on and we could talk a little bit more. Is that possible?
Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, there's so much going on. We got a lot going on right now, and with some of the new things that we have happening, with our Connects Us Live that we're going to be launching, which we would definitely want to talk to you guys about your show being on that. I think it would be huge. And, there's a lot of things that we're bringing on the technology side that I think will be very beneficial for you guys. And I think it'll be great. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm usually sitting on my ass here at the house doing my thing. And
you're the only one that has put up with us for this long of time period.
How long have we been on?
He broke the record. He actually broke the record of time, didn't he?
Yeah.
How long have we been on?
Almost 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Well,
oh my God, really?
Well, you've been on about 2 hours of that, so that's awesome. That's great. I think you have the world record now.
You just brought you broke Ken Calvert's record.
Yes.
KC was just incredible.
He was incredible. I told him, hey, Brian, check it out. He was telling us the story about how he introduced Bruce Springsteen to Bob Seger.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And so he tells us a story. And after he's done, I tell him, I go, listen, I said, Ken, I said, if I ever met Bruce Springsteen, the first thing I would do is tell him that he's not the boss of me. And he says to me, he goes, you're right. I'm the boss of you. And I'm like, okay, Ken, you're the boss of me. I'm cool with it. I'm good with it. I'm like, okay, I like it. It's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Brian Pastoria, our friend Brian Pastoria. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get you back again. We want to get you, and we'd love to get Mark on with us too at the same time and chat with you guys a little bit more. And you can tell us a little bit more about all the social. We're just a couple idiots trying to take up some time during Corona.
But thanks for the history lesson on.
Incredible. We've got a lot of great comments. I've been so enthralled by listening to them that I haven't had a chance to put any of them up. Here's one. This guy's talking about himself. Wait, Bob was the best. Miss him dearly back in the strut days. Oh, look at this. Cisco is wearing the same t-shirt. He's right. I am. But Brian, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on with us today. God bless you and your family. And we wish you nothing but the best. And we want to have you back again. And wow, what a great hump day with you.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I really, really, really appreciate doing this with you both, and appreciate what you guys are doing. And this is the new world that we're in, and I think it's going to really take off. And you guys are right at the top, man. Right there, man. You're both great at what you do, and appreciate you very much having me on. You didn't have to do that.
Oh, no. It was our pleasure, and thank you, brother. We will catch up with you down the road. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Pastoria. Thank you, Brian.
We
love you, brother. We love you, brother. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Okay. So, Poncho.
Cisco. Yeah, I forgot to tell you, when I was over Brian's house, he was. I went there with another friend, Kenny Kaz. Went over there, and Brian goes, "Hey, you got a? I hear you got this song Kenny keeps telling me about called Selfie." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll send you the link." I said, "It's pretty cool." And we took all of our fans and made a video on our own and everything. And he would tell me about his stories, how he put together videos and ideas and everything. And so I played it for him, and he's like, just like Jack Ashton when we had Jack on, I played him the Selfie video, and he says, "My God, that song is incredible." So
that's amazing.
They loved it both.
That's amazing. We're so far behind on this.
Oh my goodness. I'm actually almost sober on this show. Here's to you, Cisco, and all of you out there. I want to personally thank you.
Okay. Check this out, dude. Check this out. Here we got we're gonna bring this in. Before we do this, though, we're in the last stretch of the home stretch here. No, not yet. Hold on. I gotta bring some of this video stuff in first before we bring him on.
Okay.
Because I love this guy. I freaking love this guy. Okay. He's awesome. So, oh shit, where's the show? Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, shut up. I'm working on it. All right. I'm having problems today. So,
you suck.
We're gonna bring him in. We got the Revv, Rob Wourman coming in. He's gonna come in with us shortly. Revv, I see you in the queue, bro.
Hey.
So just hang out for a second because we have to preamble him.
Okay.
We got to preamble him before we bring him in.
Mr. TikTok himself.
Rob is one of the most entertaining, friendly individuals you ever want to meet, folks. Ever want to meet. And he's been doing stuff during Quarantino. He's like the TikTok king now, right?
Unbelievable. He's got so many followers. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's out of hand. And I also know that he's already ready. He's already ready for the horn. I know it. I know it for a fact. Okay, so check this out. Oh God, I'm gonna lose my shit here with this. It's so funny. Check it out, folks.
Shh. Sometimes I drink water to surprise my liver. And then boom, back to work, bitch.
Okay.
Do you got the Corona one?
I don't know.
From
I don't know. I have a couple of them. Let's see if this is it.
It started when I was younger. I ate all my food.
This might. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Revv, Rob Wourman. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing, man?
Doing good.
We're having a pretty good fucking day here.
Yeah. I was sitting in, man, just sitting outside. I came inside because my neighbor was, what you call it, blowing his yard. He was blowing.
COVID-19.
You've been lighting up the internet with these crazy videos. I was only able to capture the 3 that I just showed. You're cracking me up, brother. How are you coping during all this COVID-19 corona shit?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just, taking it one day at a time, like we supposed to, And work my other job, and that's what I've been doing, trying to stay busy with that.
COVID-19.
Making TikTok videos. I want to make people laugh. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the time we're in. So,
you've been doing the TikTok thing for quite a while. Like, right? You were doing it way before that anybody would realize what TikTok was. And how many followers do you have?
Oh man, I got probably.
Because it was astronomical. It amazed me.
I can't remember. I think like 27,000 or something like that.
Wow, we got like 26, 27 total
people. Oh, actually 35 right now.
No, that's not those numbers aren't real.
Okay.
Those numbers
I'm not watching right now.
So let's get a little bit of history on you. How'd you get into the entertainment and radio business? Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I was actually searching for a job. Couldn't find nothing, man. And my brother kept telling me, "You need to go to Spec Howard. You need to go." And I never heard of Spec Howard. I didn't know what it was. So I ended up going and went there for a year. And I volunteered actually with Revv and volunteered at Arts Beast Meets back in 2013. And after that, one of my bosses, Ken, he pretty much liked the way I was working and all that stuff and pulled me in as promo. And, been doing that since 2000, 2013. I'm gonna count that because it's my anniversary, I guess. But yeah, I've been doing it since 2013, and I would say within the last year, I just got put on air over there. However, due to COVID-19 and all that stuff, I haven't been on air. I know you guys miss me, but I'll be back.
No, we do. No, we do miss you. I always love hanging out with you. Like I told the folks,
I miss you.
I know, Scott, man.
I miss you.
No, we're not getting into that shit.
Even my dog misses you.
I know that the first time I met you, we kind of hit it off real cool, and we had such a good time. And just seeing you in person, we haven't done it in quite a while, and it's ridiculous. Yeah. But hey, Poncho.
Yes, Cisco.
I told you he was ready. Watch this.
Okay.
Look, I got glasses on my can.
Yeah!
He's ready. One of our very few guests who are actually ready for all this.
Woohoo!
I'm ready.
That's absolutely tremendous. So, what do you see the future holding for not only you, but us and everybody?
You know what? Honestly, personally, for myself, I'm not even thinking that far ahead. I'm just taking it day by day.
COVID-19.
That's all I can do. That's all we can do, man. Just take it day by day. If I worry about what's going to happen a month from now,
right?
God knows what my head's going to be.
Hey, so, I don't know.
Now, where could people find you on TikTok?
All of my social media is Revv. That's REVROBB, 2 B's. Where you'll pull up some old creepy guy. Yeah.
2 B's.
All right, hold on.
And what does the 2 B's stand for?
Big bitches.
Hold on, is this right? Hold on. Is this right? Where'd it go? What the fuck? Okay. Is this right? Revv Rob on all social media.
That's me.
No underscore or anything like that?
No underscore.
No, folks, listen, you got to check it out. We are so into the home stretch right now, so we're a little bit short on time, but you got to check it out. And we're gonna play. I'm gonna dig up some more of this stuff that he does, and we're gonna get it on Friday's show.
Yeah, we got to play the COVID-19 one he just did recently.
I tried to get it.
It's actually on my actual Facebook page. I got
right.
Look at my page, you can find all of them. But
okay, no, I'm gonna. if you don't mind, I'm gonna harvest some more of them and steal them and use them for our show.
By all means, I appreciate
it. Send you some more people your way.
Yes. Oh yeah, we're gonna promote you like a mofo because we love you.
And a side note, damn it! I'm gonna say it right now.
Okay.
Next time you guys play, the very first show you guys put back on when all this crap is over, I want to bring you guys on.
You got it.
Done deal.
Done deal.
And I'm still going to carry Screamin' Scott all the way to the microphones. I'm not doing that. I remember that. It was awesome. Yeah.
It's a deal. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Wourman, Revv, with us hanging out. Revv, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today. We really appreciate it. We love you. Nothing but the best to you and your family. And we'll catch you soon.
You guys, man. Pleasure being on the show with you guys. I watch you guys every time you tune in. You guys are crazy motherfuckers, man.
Thanks, brother. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Wow. How's that? How's that for potato chips?
Wow. No, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's the show's been insane today.
Yes. They're great.
No, it really has. This is going to go down probably in legendary Poncho and Cisco history.
Mm-hmm.
The interview with Brian Pastoria was absolutely incredible, and I can't believe that he spent as much time with us as he did.
Yeah,
and the insight and the insight and the stories that he gave us,
the history.
We're going to have him back again, and we're going to get Mark on too, because Mark, multiple Grammy Awards, and he's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. Oh, you got pussy on your desk again. Pussy on your desk. Pussy on your desk. You got pussy on your desk. Desk. Yeah, pussy on your desk.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. No, not yet. We're going to close the show with it. But Poncho, I finally got the butthole mashup done.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did. I got it done.
Mashup?
I'm loading it up right now, and this is for my pal Chuck. This was all Chuck's idea.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
I'm going to, once it loads up, until then. Doink.
Doink.
Love you.
Cheers.
Love you, Poncho.
Love you, Cisco.
So, for those of you who don't know, we've been playing this great video from a little girl who wants to know what's inside your butthole.
What's inside your butthole? I wonder what's inside your butthole.
Hold on, I'll play a little bit of it. I'll play a little bit of that, and then we'll play the mashup.
Okay.
Okay?
There it is.
Okay. So, all right. So Chuck had this idea for those of you folks who don't live in Michigan, because, you know, we have viewers from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We do. All over the world. Oh, let me hide this banner. Hold on. Okay, folks. Now you're about to see the greatest mashup video ever done in the history of mankind.
Right.
This is the, for those of you who don't know, Sterling Heights, the city of Sterling Heights, in all their infinite wisdom, spent $300,000 on a golden butthole. Poncho, this is pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of this.
Okay.
So here it is. A $300,000 golden butthole.
Can't beat that.
No, you can't. You can't beat that. Is that something? What'd you think of that?
That was awesome. I knew that footage would come in handy.
Yes, it did come in handy. Thank you, Chuck Lyon, my pal, my good buddy Chuck Lyon, for that great idea. Sorry it took a fucking week for me to get it done, but who gives a shit? It's here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out to the Poncho and Cisco Live in the Afternoon show. I am Cisco, and that is my bestest pal, Poncho. And we leave you, we're going to once again leave you with this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a good day. We'll see you on Friday. Thanks for coming out.